Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll see what happens. We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I am a dissident.
Don't move. Move.
I'm saying no. Why you hear Palantir, 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 Palantir? It's not going to stop.
Seriously, we need to release the F-scene list.
Turns off. I am not a church boy. Turns off.
They're full-on vampires.
They hate our beef. They hate our beef. They hate our beef because our beef is beautiful and theirs is weak.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Welcome one and all to a Tuesday matinee edition of the Do Dissidents podcast. This is Graham Platner here with Russell Dobular.
My biggest regret now is that I didn't file charges that night. I was going to.
Yeah.
I did not consent.
That's right. That's right. We got to get him in today. I was looking forward to doing Graham Platner impressions for the next 30 years. You know, you're a senator. You can run forever. I really liked doing the Graham Platner voice. I thought, all right, this is going to be a recurring fun thing to do now for the foreseeable future. But it was not to be. It was not to be. But here we are. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here today. 554 strong in the YouTube chat to start things off. 238 over on Rumble. Let's smash that like button, please. Let's get a nice big crowd in here. Thanks to everybody who hung out in the Jimmy Dore show chat yesterday. Fun show yesterday with Savage Joy, and then obviously had a lot of fun with Kurt, as we always do, for the remaining couple hours of that show. Russ is hosting Jimmy tomorrow, and then I'm going to be back on Friday. So we are not even halfway through this dissident marathon week.
Yeah, I'm hosting tomorrow. I got Professor Zenkis leading off, and then I've got our friend Nick Cruz coming on. Me and Nick, we're going to figure out how we can possibly crash the American housing market the way that China did. They did a kind of, I am going to do that story tomorrow. They did basically a controlled demolition on housing prices. Because Xi said housing should be for living, not speculation. So they literally intentionally shrunk the bubble. And now 20 years of property value gains have been brought back to baseline. Just part of why 95% of Chinese people own their home.
Yeah, the Chinese, they stick it to the boomers over there. They don't take shit from boomers.
They don't take that shit. Boomers or the Bexers.
That's right.
Either one of them.
That's right. No, hey, Jesse is back. How are you, Jesse? I was thinking about you, Jesse. I was thinking we haven't seen you in a couple of shows. People were worried. People were worried about you. You know, we had some bots coming in here. Yeah, missed a couple shows, I think. But good to see you. Good to see you back here. So shout out to the mods in the chat. I think Jesse may be our only mod left. I think our mods are all gone. We're like the Soprano family at the end of the series. It's just Jesse and us. That's it. That's it.
We've never really actively recruited mods, which we should.
Probably should. Yeah.
We should. We have enough people who are here for every show that if we recruited like 2 or 3 more of them, we would always have mods.
Yeah.
The thing is, you got to be careful, man, because if you get the wrong mod, they'll use it to enact personal vendettas, or they will set the bar for banning way too low.
Yeah, some of the mods
we had
go
that
on power
experience.
Trips. Yeah,
that's part of why that kind of turned me off to it. That was part of why I haven't actively.
Yeah, some of the mods can get a little bit on a power trip. I would say, Yeah, minimum dick size 6 inches for a mod, because
That's
any smaller than that, they're going to use this as their own sort of domain to exercise power. So there you go.
Only
That's the
women
rule.
who have
honor system. We're not asking for any photo. No proof necessary. It's the honor system. If your dick is bigger than 6 inches,
women
you can be
who
a
have
mod.
at some point belong to a softball team.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Those are the rules. Those are the rules. And like I said, honor system. No evidence necessary. We don't want to see it. Believe me. Believe me. We don't want to see it. All right. Why don't we get started?
Unless you want to send it to our new website.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Peni of podcasts.com.
Yeah. All right. Let's get started. Let's get started today. We got a lot of goings on in the what do they call it? The upper chamber. What's the upper chamber? What's the lower chamber? Is the Senate the upper chamber?
Well, yes, that would be the upper chamber.
That would be the upper chamber, right? I don't know how it goes. Yeah. All right. So a lot of goings on in the upper chamber.
All right. I've never really figured out how to properly distance my mic. How is that?
That's good.
How is that? Because I think I bring it in too close to my mouth.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you're too close, it can get like a little muddled.
Well, because I get paranoid about not being loud enough. That's why I keep doing that.
Right. Yeah, that sounds good.
This is good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Marking it. Okay. So Senator Mitch McConnell has not been seen in public for 3 weeks, and he's been hospitalized, and nobody will say why. Nobody will reveal what his condition is. This is from the New York Times. Senator Mitch McConnell, Republican of Kentucky and the former majority leader, was hospitalized on June 14th. Since then, his office has provided few updates about his condition. The most recent statement for Mr. McConnell's office on Thursday said that the senator, quote, appreciates the outpouring of support he's receiving while he continues his recovery in the hospital, and that he, quote, continues to improve and is working closely with his staff on Kentucky and Senate matters while the Senate is out of session. Aides to Mr. McConnell, 84, have not disclosed what prompted his hospitalization or what treatment he is receiving. Asked for updates on Monday, a spokesman referred to Thursday's statement. Shortly after Mr. McConnell was hospitalized, his spokesman released the short statement, Senator McConnell was admitted to the hospital this morning. He is receiving excellent care. No, nothing suspicious about that. That's what they always do. Diligently avoid telling you what his condition is.
Yeah.
Emergency responders, the morning the Kentucky Republican was hospitalized, reported performing CPR on an unconscious individual undergoing cardiac arrest at the senator's Washington address, according to recordings of dispatcher calls that were widely reported by news outlets last week and obtained by the New York Times. The recordings do not name Mr. McConnell as the individual. That's a fella I met on Grindr. I brought over and apparently had a bum ticker. Recordings of emergency dispatcher radio communications logged between 8:36 and 8:43 a.m. that Sunday indicate that dispatchers initially called for medics to respond to a report of an unconscious individual at Mr. McConnell's Washington address. 6 minutes later, a worker with the city's Fire and Emergency Medical Services Department responded, asking that his supervisor be informed of CPR in progress. Mr. McConnell's office has declined to comment on the recordings, even after they were reported on by multiple news outlets. Okay, so this is Desiree Townsend. The New York Times didn't give her credit, but as far as I know, she was the one who actually broke these audio recordings, and she's really stayed on this story like a hawk. So here is, in part, the EMS recording.
Great communications. East Army supervisor, CPR in progress.
Okay.
EMS to respond for cardiac arrest. 217C3, no details in Charlie. EMS 2 response for cardiac arrest. 217C3, no details in Charlie. Cruise of 2nd Street on Charlie 11, 843.
Medic 3, you have EMS 2 coming.
All right. So they clearly identify him as having a cardiac arrest. Now, I'm not a doctor. I trained to be a barber at one point. That's almost the same thing. I'll tell you, it sounds to me like he probably had a heart attack, died, and they brought him back. But by that time, he was brain damaged. That would be my guess. That's what this fact pattern would indicate to me.
Came back as a Democrat. Now you're down to 52. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
The day
52-48.
The day after Mr. McConnell was hospitalized, the Senate's two top Republicans, Senator John Thune of South Dakota, the majority leader, and John Barrasso of Wyoming, the whip, both told reporters they had spoken to the senator. Mr. McConnell is, quote, clearly dialed into what's going on, Mr. Thune said at the Capitol. He's following the stuff we're doing this week up here. Very much so. So this clip has been going around quite a bit. If I had to guess, this is a clip that's going to be haunting Thune very shortly. He's going to have a lot of splaining to do.
McConnell, we're told, was hospitalized. Have you heard any word on him?
I have. I spoke to him yesterday, and he was in good spirits. I mean, he was very dialed in, paying attention to what's going on, and indicated that he would be back soon.
Why the fuck you lying? Why?
He said Graham Platner sexually assaulted him in 2019.
That's he'll be testifying about that soon. Yeah. And if you look at his face, actually, go back, look at this guy.
Be back soon.
Yeah, come on, man. Yeah, that's a guy who was told you got to go out there and say that he's okay. Don't worry, we'll cover for you later.
Oh yeah,
it'll you'll just say, yeah, he woke up.
Yeah,
who can prove otherwise?
Right. Yeah, no, this is a one of them Feinstein jobs here.
Yeah, they're doing a Feinstein, as we'll see. Laura Loomer, for once, possibly disclosing credible information. New. High-level source close to the White House tells me Mitch McConnell is officially brain dead. He's not coming back. And this is, again, Desiree Townsend, who's an independent journalist. Give her a follow. She's doing good work here. I have heard the same thing from my sources for days. At this point, I am at the hospital for when they eventually decide to cut him off of life support and move his body. His Capitol Police detail is still here as of 3:39 p.m. Well, as we'll see, she's probably going to be outside that hospital through August 3rd. And there's a reason for that. From Political Polls, The Hill accidentally publishes article titled "Do Not Use," a look back at Mitch McConnell's time in the Senate amid growing rumors about McConnell's health. I don't think there's anything nefarious there. There's just one of those things, the guy's about to croak.
Do not use.
You get the obit from the file ready. But a little more nefarious. Well, what do you do when your husband's in the hospital after what sounds like, at minimum, a major heart attack? Well, you go to China 3 days later, right? Elaine Chao meets with China's vice president 3 days after McConnell's hospitalization. Now, remember, she's the former transportation secretary. She's a private citizen now. She has absolutely no official reason to be in China. 3 days after her husband is hospitalized, she gets out of town. Now, a reporter here interviewed a neighbor of the McConnells who claims nobody's been around since the night of the incident.
Happened. I didn't see him come out, but
you saw the paramedics here? Yeah. Okay. Have you seen any family? Has no family has come?
I haven't seen anyone coming or going from there.
Yeah, because I know his Capitol Police detail. They're over at the hospital, so I just thought I'd. So his wife, Elaine Chao, was found in China 3 days after he went into cardiac arrest. So we're trying to figure out where she is. It doesn't look like she has come back to the house. So I was wondering, have you seen her at all?
No, I haven't seen anyone.
Oh my God! Can you explain what happened?
I have to go to work.
Yeah,
I'm
sorry.
so sorry.
Have a great day. Thank you for your help.
Okay, so she went to China, never came back, at least to the residence. We don't know where she is now. Hassan Piker, is Mitch McConnell dead? And if so, will Massey run for his seat? Well, the suspicion is all this is about making sure that he can. This from Adam Cochran, lays it out. There are at least 2 reasons they might not want to update us on McConnell's condition. In Kentucky, a special election to replace a senator will not be called if it's closer than 3 months till the next election. That date is August 3rd. If McConnell's condition is clearly unfit for office, they'd hide that to avoid being forced to submit a resignation letter until after that date. If McConnell has not regained consciousness or has the chance of oxygen-induced brain death and is on life support, they would try. In Kentucky, brain death is legally considered death under Kentucky Revised Statute 446.400. Any 2 independent physicians may declare the patient dead for the purposes of the seat being vacated if the patient is only alive due to a ventilator and artificial life support systems. Here it comes. But his next of kin, Chow, would need to be involved in the process of treatment and testing and final decisions to end support for that path to be viable. She left to China 3 days after his hospitalization. So is McConnell alive and well? Is he awake and functional? Is he a vegetable? Either way, I think they're trying to make sure we don't have the answer to that until August 3rd. Of course. What wife goes to China 3 days after her husband is hospitalized with, at minimum, a major heart attack?
Yeah.
So a couple of funny memes on this weekend at Mitch's. We're going to be seeing a lot of those. But Babylon BB, man, one of the best outlets out there now. Massey floats legislation to purge undead from Congress.
Yeah.
Massey Van Helsing 2028. Yeah, that guy's gone. And hey, this isn't like a GOP thing. They did it with Feinstein. They knew Feinstein was out of it. They wanted to be able to name her successor and avoid an election. I can't remember what the specifics were, but there was a reason they needed to pretend she was still functional until past a certain point. Very much like this. So yeah, if they can get away with it, if he's on a ventilator, they'll just keep him on a ventilator. And then don't be surprised if Mitch McConnell has a date with an unplugging on August 4th. And all of a sudden his wife mysteriously returns.
Yes. As I recall, the specifics and the intrigue around the Feinstein thing was that they wanted Adam Schiff to be the next senator, but that if Feinstein died, there would be a lot of pressure on Newsom to appoint a more progressive senator. For some reason, I forget the exact specifics. I forget who he was looking at.
There was like a reason they had to prop her up for a while.
Yeah, they had to stall so that Newsom wouldn't have to appoint someone that the base really wanted.
Right.
That's my recollection. I forget the specifics beyond that, but I do remember that being a dynamic because I remember we covered it. Now, in terms of this August 3rd date, if they get past August 3rd, what happens?
I mean, that's tough. That's a whole month.
It's a lot. I mean, I don't think
for
it's going
them
to happen.
to never have him get in front of a camera.
I mean, quite frankly, I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's too far down the line. I mean, that is a long stretch of road between now and August 3rd. If you're
there were like a couple weeks, they could finagle it, but a whole month.
There's a
now
whole
that
month.
there's this much attention on it.
There's a whole month. Yeah, I doubt it. Now, what we were talking about before we went live is that Kentucky is one of these very strange cases where it's a very red state, but they have a pretty popular Democratic governor. And so in Kentucky, they passed a law which disempowered the governor from appointing a Senate replacement. So it goes to the House. Now, does the House call for an election, or do they appoint someone?
The House calls for an election.
So you need an election to replace McConnell. It's not just like they can pick somebody.
No.
It actually is up to the people. So at some point, they're going to have an election. Now, they don't want Massey running in November, which is, I guess, when it would happen. If you know, he is found to be dead. In a literal,
they definitely can't keep
sense.
it going to November.
Right, exactly. But at that point, I guess they would just set an election for some future date, you know, maybe like January or whatever, you know. I guess it would just not be November. So I guess they'd buy themselves some time that way. I don't really understand the play. It seems to me kind of ill-fated because, like we said, I don't see how you keep this going for an entire month. I don't see
Well, and this also really sabotages a lot of their agenda, as ill-conceived as it might be, like the NDAA with the poisonous merger of our military with Israel. That could be stopped because there are at least 4 GOP senators that might refuse to vote for that. So then you have one who's going to be at one seat absent. Yeah, like it could hold up quite a lot of their agenda.
It also brings your margin down significantly from 53 to 52. Assuming there is no election in November, that means that seat is just vacant. Like if he's pronounced dead between August and November, then that seat, then you're basically operating with a 99-seat Senate until that special election is held, which means now Democrats only need to pick up 3 instead of 4 to get to 51. And then, obviously, their worst nightmare is Thomas Massey runs for that seat, wins the nomination, and then almost certainly wins the general. Now, that is not as bad in Republicans' minds as having a Democrat there on certain issues, but it's worse on other issues than having a Democrat there. So there's a lot of intrigue going on. But first step for them is they got to make it to August 3rd, which I don't think is going to happen. And it would be interesting to see if we notice any maneuvers in Kentucky to account for the strong likelihood, in my opinion, that the truth is going to come out between now and August 3rd. I just don't see how you do a weekend at Bernie's thing for that long.
I think they'll try.
They'll try. It's a lot of days. It's a lot of days.
Yes.
That's not easy. That is not an easy thing.
Well, especially now that this has gotten on people's radar.
Yeah, if this were the 20th, they could stall for a couple weeks. I don't know. A month is a long ways to go. That's a long ways to go. And you know, just like with Feinstein, there were signs of this going back. I mean, McConnell was barely cogent during the confirmation hearings for the Trump cabinet appointees. Like, he's been long gone for a long time. But now it comes down to the wire, and it's going to fall on one side of August 3rd or the other, and be interesting to see how that shakes out. It's like Alfred Hitchcock meets Veep, basically. It's like Rear Window meets Veep. Yeah. All right. Let's take some super chats and some Rumble rants here. We got 1,200 strong in the YouTube chat, 345 over on Rumble. French Laundry says, great show last night, Keaton. You and Kurt are funny together. Thank you. Glad you had a good time. Yes, it was a fun show. Yeah, he got me a couple times last night. That was pretty funny. I think he had his A game yesterday. I loved his line about we were talking about how if you're a real threat to the system, they'll figure out a way to ruin your reputation. So I said, yeah, you know, some woman will say you touched her 5 years ago. And he said, yeah, he says, yeah, just because you had the guts to get a tattoo, no one else would. That was a good line. Vienticus, everything's a scam, everything's a lie, everything's hypocrisy, and so you don't comply. Vienticus says, so here's some interesting etymology, a category in what category? Oh, because of last night where we were talking about what does categorically untrue mean. I get it. In 1580s, in Aristotle's logic, a highest notion, from French catégorie, from late Latin categoria. Interesting. Verbal noun from categorin, speak, to accuse, assert, or predicate. Thank you, Rienticus. Appreciate that. Spruce Wayne says Platner was a mercenary for BlackRock fam. Considering the record of assault of women in the military and civilians around the world, it seems likely. Well, we're getting to that. That's coming up next. Thank you, though. Ovan the King says, seems like Mitch the brain-dead McConnell still on life support. Hell might get a new demon soon. Yeah, we will see. Sasser, thanks for the $5. Looks like the old battle axe of Maine will sail the victory now. Unfortunate, because I actually liked Platner until we found out he's credibly accused. I don't know about that. I mean, her polling is still very, very bad. Her polling is still very, very weak. I mean, they may have a chance to salvage that. Under normal circumstances, I'd say she has the edge, but she's very unpopular there. Like, her numbers are below 40 points. If anyone accuses you guys of being wrong about Platner, might I suggest responding like Scott Ritter? Fuck you. Russell does a better Ritter than me. But yes, that'd be a good recommendation.
I mean, our take on Platner has always been. In fact, I think I said it on our last show. I don't care about Platner. Like, I'm not invested.
Right. Exactly.
I even bothered to look into what people were saying about him. I didn't care. Like, right. I honestly didn't care. Like, how many of these politicians are people I would actually like?
Right.
Like, that's not a standard. For me, I want the genocide of Gaza to stop. And you had a much better chance of gumming up appropriations bills in the Senate with Platner than Collins. That's all I cared about. I didn't, so this is not, oh my God, Platner. I said this to somebody was like, oh, the love of Mamdani. I said, if Mamdani fell off a bridge tomorrow, me and Kate would probably do like 20 minutes of jokes about it and move on. Like, I don't care in that way about any politician. Like, it's not, these are not your boyfriends and girlfriends. They're hopefully they do some things that match your policy priorities, but I think anybody who's a veteran of the Sanders campaign would be permanently allergic to falling in love with politicians.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, what I said last night was what I meant. Like, the first batch of accusations were clearly coordinated smears. I mean, we did a pretty thorough piece proving that beyond any doubt, I think. And there were no accusations of like sex crimes in that first batch of accusations. What did she say? He grabbed my arm getting out of a cab.
Right.
We were arguing drunk.
Yeah.
Like,
it was like dumb shit.
It was stupid shit. Like, there was nothing there. There was nothing there, and it was clearly a coordinated Zionist hit job, which this may be too. Both things can be true. He could have actually done this, and it could also be a coordinated campaign against him.
Oh, yeah. Well, so, I think that is the case.
I think that's pretty clearly the case given the timing, right? So anyway, we'll get to that in just a minute, actually, because we're almost through our first batch of chats here. Virtuoso, speaking of controlled demolition, did you hear about the crumbling Pfizer building in Midtown? Yes.
I saw a headline, yeah.
Yeah, it seems the side effects of the vaccines wasn't their only weapon. Yeah, there's a weak beam in the building. They evacuated it because they think it might fall down. And that's right in the middle of Midtown. That's like right near Grand Central Station, I think. So that is pretty dangerous. Vienticus, if you want me to make me a mod, you can, but don't expect me to do a whole lot. Well, that is an impressive application, my friend. That is an impressive cover letter. Do you offer services helping people write their cover letters for employment? You can hire me, but don't expect me to do a whole lot, which I think fits the show. I used to mod for one of the LawTube guys. All right, well, we will take that under consideration, Vienticus.
Yeah, we should make we should appoint like 3 more mods.
Yeah.
I would say.
P. Walker says the turtle has fallen. That's right. Eric Rousseau, Metzger argues we should be measuring taints. Taints are the new metric. Is that right? Eric Rousseau says they transferred Mitch's consciousness into his new reptile body. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. All right, we are going to move right on along here. Let's see what we got over here. There we go. Beautiful. All right, folks. So I covered the Graham Platner allegation yesterday on the Jimmy Dore show. We kind of went into detail on it since that was the breaking news at this point. Here we have more of a reaction, response, and fallout piece, but we will do a brief catch up on the allegations here. So yesterday afternoon, it broke. Exclusive: woman who dated Graham Platner says he assaulted her. A woman who dated Maine U.S. Senate candidate Graham Platner says he forced her to have sex with him nearly 5 years ago, despite her repeated objections, an allegation Platner denies. The woman, a 41-year-old Maine resident named Jenny Racicot, detailed the alleged incident to Politico in 3 interviews over the past 2 weeks. Politico also spoke with a man Racicot dated and confided in the years after the alleged incident, and reviewed documents, including emails between Racicot and her therapist, and messages between Racicot and an acquaintance whom she warned against getting involved with Platner years before he ran for office. Racicot said she had an on and off relationship with Platner, who is now the Democratic Senate nominee in Maine, for more than 2 years before he entered her rural Maine home, uninvited one night in late 2021, deeply intoxicated, and forced himself on her while she repeatedly told him to stop. She said she cut off contact with him after telling him the encounter was not consensual. I remember him grabbing my pelvis and being really forceful of me, she said. I remember the specific moment where I thought to myself, like, this is no longer my choice. Racicot previously described reckless and unsettling behavior by Platner to the New York Times, but said she didn't go public with the specific assault claim because she didn't want to be known as a rape victim. Racicot said she later felt compelled to go public about her experience because the reaction to the Times story was dominated by controversy about another woman, Lindsay Fifield, who alleged Platner mistreated her and faced attacks. Wait a minute. What did I do here? Did I do this correct? Yes, I did. Sorry. For some reason, I thought I loaded in yesterday's slideshow. I was reading this whole thing again unnecessarily, but no. Sorry about that. Racicot said she later felt compelled to go public about her experience because the reaction to the Times story was dominated by controversy about another woman, Lindsay Fifield, who alleged Platner mistreated her and faced attacks because of her ties to the Republican Party. Contacted by Politico, Fifield stood by the allegations she made to the Times and declined to comment further. Once again, those allegations were not of sexual crimes. We went over those when they surfaced. Racicot shared with Politico a series of private Facebook messages she exchanged with an acquaintance in 2023, about a year and a half after the alleged assault and well before Platner launched his political career, in which she cautioned the acquaintance against getting involved with Platner. In the messages, Racicot said she had, quote, ended up in a bad situation with him, describing Platner as consensually careless and saying he doesn't listen to you when drunk. And there's a screenshot of the Facebook messages that were printed in Politico right there. Just friends would have would love the scoop, though. Is he still engaged? Blah, blah, blah. So Graham Platner, here he is, issuing a denial of sorts, but indicating that he is taking time to reflect on the best path forward for his campaign.
They address the troubling, serious, and false allegations against me. Any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically false. Over the last 10 months, I've been deeply
that settles it.
by the faith Mainers have put in me. You have welcomed me into your homes, into your places of work, into your restaurants, into your houses of worship. You have shown that a different kind of politics, one that puts the interests of people over corporations, is not just possible, but is inevitable. This movement we have built, the largest volunteer base in the history of Maine politics, the hundreds of thousands of grassroots donors, and the supporters across the ideological spectrum, we were united in a love of Maine, a belief that our politics must change, and a focus on defeating Susan Collins. So, regardless of the inaccuracy of the reporting, but mindful of the political reality it will inflict, we are taking the time to reflect on the best path forward for the state that I love, the people that I love, the movement I belong to, and the goal of defeating Susan Collins.
Okay, so right there,
That's
I mean,
how fast it takes for a guy to get whacked.
Yeah, exactly. I showed the whole video yesterday. We don't have to show any more. That's it right there. You're cooked. Once you say that, you're done. Once you say, hey, these aren't true, but given the political reality, I'm taking time to reflect, you may as well just say you're ending the campaign right then and there. It's simply a matter of figuring out what the next step is. Does he endorse someone else, which is a questionable decision at this point, since your political capital is kind of hit rock bottom here. But yeah, once you say that, you're done. It's only a matter of time before you're out. That's why right after Joe Biden's debate meltdown, as soon as the debate was over, and Chuck Todd says, I've been getting texts from Democrats saying they don't know what to do, that means he's out. That means he's done, right? Once you hint that you're out, you're out. It's only a matter of time. And so who knows? Maybe he'll make it official by the time this stream is over, by the time this clip is published. But either way, his campaign
would
is
not
essentially
surprise
over.
me.
No, it's over. His campaign is over. He's done. He will have either dropped out by the time you see this clip, or he is about to drop out. There's no question about that in my mind. Ruben Gallego, an endorser of Platner, says the allegations against Graham Platner are troubling and deeply serious. I am rescinding my endorsement. Ro Khanna says, I've been very clear that sexual assault or violence against women is a red line. These allegations are very serious and credible. Graham Platner should drop out from the race. I'm withdrawing my endorsement. Rashida Tlaib this afternoon has rescinded her endorsement. Bernie has advised him to drop out. So it's over. It's over. Adam Schiff, Cory Booker, Alyssa Slotkin, Chuck Schumer, Kristen Gillibrand, Elizabeth Warren, Heinrich, Kelly Gallego, amongst senators who called for Platner to withdraw. So far, bottom has fallen out. And look at this. Look at this. Already, we have a CNN interview with the accuser. So let's take a look at a little bit of this interview with Jake Tapper.
Heavily intoxicated, had intentions with me.
Now, you see this is a sit-down interview, a pre-taped interview. This wasn't like a live thing. So obviously, like I said, both things could be true. Like these, because the timeline of events is such that she told other people about this years ago before he became a candidate. That is one of the things you look for in a credible accusation. Yeah. So I'm not saying the accusation is not credible, but both things can be true. It can be a credible accusation that is cleverly timed to cause maximum political damage, which obviously this was, I think.
He was heavily intoxicated, had intentions with me, and wasn't listening when I said no. And
you were saying, no, don't, over and over.
I remember, obviously I've had to recall a lot of this. This is something that I tried for many years to forget. And so small details, might get past me. But yes, I remember very specifically saying, I'm not into this. I remember that the most. So saying that the most firmly. I remember specifically him grabbing at my chest, and I hit his hand and I said, don't touch me. And I remember that during the altercation.
And then he kept going.
Yeah.
I know that you have been very reluctant to tell this story. Very reluctant.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised you're here.
Thrown up 3 times today.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Why did you ultimately decide to do it? Why come forward?
A few reasons. One of the biggest ones is that I think that there are a lot of men in this world relying on the silence of women.
Platner posted a video on X denying the allegations. Then it goes into some of his statement. That was a clip that CNN put out of the interview. We already saw Platner's statement, which they pull from there. Crystal Ball, I agree Platner should drop out. The allegations are horrible, and I see no reason why his accuser would lie. Some things have to be beyond the pale. Emma Vigeland, these were all, high-profile Platner defenders. This is an immensely damaging allegation from a credible source. The Platner campaign insisted that nothing new was coming, and that was obviously not the truth. Just devastating, and she put out a little video as well.
I just wanted to jump on here to address the serious, credible allegations against Graham Platner. This story is devastating. I believe the victim here I think that Graham should drop out of the race. He has betrayed many, many supporters by not being forthright about this. I would include myself in that. I believed his campaign when they said that there was nothing new coming out, and it looks like an awful, awful accusation, an incredible one, has come out. Now, this movement has never been about one individual. Any candidate that takes up the mantle here should share Graham's belief or the campaign's belief in ending complicity in the genocide in Gaza, Medicare for all, taxing billionaires, and more.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll pick someone great.
This is a devastating development.
I'm sure now that they have a chance to pick someone, I'm sure they're going to pick the best one they can. Yeah.
Now, if
I'm sure they're very upset that this happened.
Wants to put on a dress and compete against women in shot put or something, yeah, I will be there for him 100%.
Right. Yeah.
But I cannot support him as a candidate for a high office.
That's right. That's right. So, you know, on the other hand, you have a few high-profile personalities who are pushing back on these accusations and on the notion that Graham Platner should drop out. Gen X girl, who did some work for us, segment prep, in the past, no longer does. Not for any bad reason. It was just not something she could commit to. But we still use her stuff from time to time. She's great. She says, sloppy hit job. Politico claims Jenny Racicot told them Graham Platner sexually assaulted her, except in June 2026, Racicot told the New York Times about the same night and said nothing about sexual assault. In fact, she said she had positive memories of him. Later in this thread, she says, wake up, people. So the Epstein class and every red card member protecting them are good, but the candidates who are male and take zero Israel lobby money are bad. Are you kidding me? Why is everyone being such a coward and not questioning this? So they mentioned, you know, false accusations against Thomas Massey, Abdul El-Sayed, accused of sexism, and now these accusations against Platner. She also points out, and like I said, I think both things can be true, these were coordinated a few hours before Political's article, all pro-Israel. Want to see a coordinated campaign? Exact same text, exact same image there from Gunther Riegelman, Sandra Lefties, and Mr. Poole. Looks like they are with identical graphics of identical tweets. This was a coordinated hit job, says Gen X Girl, posting the screenshot of the AIPAC tweet. Our individual grassroots members are proud to support strong and principled Democrats running for Senate. Really want to talk about Senate candidates today. Bernie, ? Well played, Israel lobby. You found the button that sends the pussy hat people into a rabid frenzy where logic is replaced by an uncontrollable need to collect scalps. And she posts a reply. The reasoning is right there. One can have positive memories with their rapist. Not sure why that's highlighted as a contradiction when it's incredibly common. Now, it's not just Gen X Girl. Janine Eunice, another friend of the show. I've interviewed her twice, actually. Once here, once on Jimmy's show. Says the left's reactions to the sexual assault allegation, not a criminal charge, not a conviction, against Graham Platner illustrate precisely why freedom for the Palestinians and an end to U.S. support for Israel will never come from the American left. All it takes is an accusation in a newspaper article, and they're prepared to let Susan Collins win. To let the Zionist stranglehold on our government continue at the expense of lives in the Middle East. I don't know whether or not the allegation is true. I do know Zionists are ruthless and will stop at absolutely nothing to ensure they maintain control over Congress. I also know that it's not a liberal or left-wing value to condemn a man because of an allegation in an extremely politically charged race, so I'm definitely not withdrawing support for Platner. AIPAC Tracker seems to be withdrawing support for Platner. The allegations against Maine Senate candidate Graham Platner make it impossible for Track AIPAC to continue our support. We are revoking our endorsement immediately and urge Platner to resign from the race. To which Janine replies, really, over an allegation, I'm withholding judgment at this point until and unless more facts come out. But I'm old enough to remember when the left cared about due process and was anti-mob justice. And yes, I understand this isn't a criminal trial, but I don't think we should immediately write someone off over an allegation in an extremely contentious political race. There are people who will stop at nothing to bring down an anti-Israel candidate. We've all seen how ruthless these people are. So in my humble opinion, this is a knee-jerk reaction, and one that, if widely adopted, ultimately is likely to have serious consequences in terms of maintaining the Zionist stranglehold of Congress, which in turn costs lives in the Middle East. Now, Mel, who does a podcast with Janine and who Russ has interviewed before, her take was a little spicier. He's going to drop out, too bad, but ultimately just as well. Anyone this sympathetic to bad faith allegations and false accusations isn't ever going to be a real fighter on Capitol Hill. If you can't tell lying bitches and whiny politicos to go to hell, you ain't got what it takes. It is what it is. And she points out in February 2025, Republican Corey Mills beat the shit out of his girlfriend, who he was cheating on his wife with, while he was simultaneously threatening another girlfriend with revenge porn. And he's still a sitting member of the House running for re-election. But he 100% supports Israel, so no one actually cares. The Palestine News Network, also defiant in the face of these accusations, says weaponized, politically motivated rape allegations are not to be taken seriously. Platner for Maine. Michael Tracy, as always, chimes in. I don't mean to lump him in with some of the more good faith people.
Well,
here,
rape apologia is really his beat.
It's his beat. He doesn't miss it. Good luck being a heterosexual male Democratic candidate anymore with even a whiff of anything but the most pristine romantic dating history, because wherever you might fall on the party's ideological spectrum, the minute you hit national notoriety, the knives are coming out hard. And he also points out that there was even a pre-recorded CNN interview ready to air the instant the Politico story dropped is another red flag. Choreographed PR rollout by this shady demi-lined outfit to parade around a grape victim, upon which it took 30 seconds for Platner to be mass repudiated. And yes, here's the organization that he is referring to behind this coming out. And of course, just procedurally, if he drops out by 5 p.m. on July 13th, a replacement would need to be named by 5 p.m. on July 27th. So he has a little less than a week to make his decision. I am guaranteeing you right now that he drops out. I think that's a done deal. And look, we've heard some arguments on both sides of this. I like Janine a lot. Mel seems great as well. Gen X Girl is great. And look, I understand where they're coming from. To me, it's a simple question of, can you win at this point? And to me, the answer is no. Graham Platner cannot win. Like, if these allegations are true or if they're not true, the fact of the matter is, you knew there was a chance this would come out, because according to this woman, unless she's completely making it up, according to this woman, she told you she didn't feel like that evening was consensual years ago, years before you decided to run. So at that point, when you decide to run for office and you decide to run as an anti-Israel candidate in a very, very high-stakes Senate race in a very, very high-stakes year, you have to anticipate that that is going to come out. And so at that point, you can't run. Like, you can't run. Like, most people don't run for office for this very reason. Most people have shit in their lives. I'm not saying sexual shit or any of this kind of stuff, but most people have things in their life that they would like to keep to themselves, that they don't want to be fodder for public consumption. And that discourages them from running for office. And so if you knew this was out there, especially when the first round of smears came out, then you had to see this coming. And if she completely made this up and you had no way of seeing it coming because it's completely pulled out of thin air, well, at that point, you have to give a much stronger statement than the one you gave when you tweeted out yesterday, hey, despite these allegations being false, I'm taking time to reflect. Like, if you didn't do it, you have to do what Donald Trump would do, or what Brett Kavanaugh did at his confirmation hearing, which is just come out, at 100 miles an hour, with rage in your eyes, saying, this is bullshit, this is a smear campaign, fuck you, I'm staying in. So either way, it's too late for him. Either way, he has to drop out, because if he did this, shame on him for doing it, shame on him for not anticipating this was going to come out. And if he didn't do it, he flinched right out of the gate when these came out. and showed weakness. And once you do that, you're done. Once you do that, you look guilty. Once you do that, you're done. It's unraveling. It's not salvageable at this point. So however you feel about this, the fact of the matter is he has to drop out, and he will drop out. And the one other thing I'll say about this, because on the internet you have a lot of gamesmanship about, we told you we were right before you were right. I said this yesterday, you can only live in the present. The first round of allegations were clearly a coordinated Zionist hit piece. The woman making the accusation was a fanatical Zionist, being coached through the accusations by Bethany Mandel, arguably the most fanatical Zionist on the internet. The woman was one of the women who defended Brett Kavanaugh from similar accusations against him and actually coached Susan Collins through her speech about why she had to vote for Brett Kavanaugh despite the accusations. You have to take these things as they come. That was clearly a coordinated smear campaign. We called it that because we were right to call it that. Now, you cannot see into the future. You take things as they come. This is a different story. And given the circumstances surrounding this and given his response to it, which, like I said, was weak right out of the gate, it's over. It's over. You're skating on thin ice when you run these kind of campaigns in these circumstances, especially on the kind of issues that he's running on. It's not fair. There are certain politicians who are Teflon, certain others who aren't. Why this is not a bigger problem for Donald Trump, all the accusations against him and all the mentions in the Epstein files, these are questions that, frankly, I don't have the answer to. I think people are going to be mulling these questions for a very long time. But the fact of the matter is, it's over. It's over. He flinched, and that's it. He has to drop out. There's no question about it. He can't win at this point. It comes down to that, really. I mean, can you win at this point? The answer is no. You got to drop out.
Well, the difference is, one, the political party they're in. Obviously, there is a lot more sensitivity to these kinds of accusations if you're running as a Democrat than as a Republican. That's just reality. As some of the people who are defending him are saying, not wrongly, it is to the point in the Democratic Party that even if there's no real evidence, it can be devastating because of how that party is completely oriented around these issues for lack of a meaningful economic agenda. It's the only way they can pretend to be meaningfully different from the Republicans. So they're all over these very specific niche identity issues. So yeah, it's the party he's running in. It's also Donald Trump's particular shamelessness. Like, look, a lot of people thought when he said about John McCain, yeah, I prefer soldiers who aren't captured, that was the end. And for most people, it would have been. You know why? Because they would have apologized for it.
Right.
He didn't apologize for it. That's why it wasn't the end.
Exactly. Right.
Platner here, if he had just said, yeah, like Kavanaugh, this is bullshit. This is nonsense. Who hasn't slapped around a girlfriend, right? Like if he just went ahead, like what Trump say, they had tapes. They literally had tapes. Hey, yeah, that's just locker room talk.
That's it.
That's locker room talk. That's it, man. If he had been willing to do that, which I will say is not as easy to pull off in that party, because the kind of people who vote Republican, especially the kind of people who vote for Trump, they like that on its own merits. They like the fact that you're refusing to follow the script, right? Like this demonstrates strength and sticking it to the establishment and to the media. And, you know, you can spin it that way with his voters. You don't have enough Democrats that look at things that way, that you have that available to you as a spin. There aren't enough of them in that party who are going to take it that way. If you go, yeah, well, we were dating and misunderstanding. You can't. Not with Democrats. So that's the real difference. Now, nonetheless, if he did want to stay in, that would have been his only play. You would just had to deny it.
That's it. You have to. At that point, yeah.
And you just keep going. And honestly, it might have worked, given the positions that he has taken and the well-known tendency of AIPAC and the Zionists to basically go with the Scientologist fair game tactic on any enemy. Lie, cheat, doesn't matter. If they're against the project, doesn't matter how you take them down, just take them down. Yeah, I mean, he's still, and again, he's running against Susan Collins. Like, he might have won. But as soon as you say we're going to take time to reflect, yeah, that's it.
You're done.
That's
you look
it.
guilty at that point, and you look.
If you
weak
wanted
at that
to
point,
stay in,
look
you
like
never
a
should have
loser.
said that.
Right. You look like a loser at that point. Well, I think they decided to drop out. I think they're just stalling for time to figure out how they're going to pass the ball. You know, they have a week. They didn't have to drop out immediately. First of all, it looks good to give your colleagues time to distance themselves from you. You know, now they get to save a little bit of face coming, oh, this is horrible. Right. So that's one thing. I also think another thing, even within the Democratic Party, you see these creeps and perverts, you know, who survive these kinds of scandals longer than you think they would. Bill Clinton being one, Andrew Cuomo being another. Now,
That was a very different era with Bill Clinton.
With Bill Clinton,
no feminist would write an article about how she's ready to get her presidential knee pads for Bill Clinton because he kept abortion legal. No one would write that article today.
But he still gets invited to speeches now. I mean, they haven't totally canceled him. Some have distanced themselves a little bit. But look at the Andrew Cuomo race. A big difference here, too, is that when you position yourself on issues that make the media hostile to you, the pile-on is much more severe when these accusations come out. Like, if it's Andrew Cuomo against Zohran Mamdani and an accusation comes out against Andrew Cuomo, you think Jake Tapper has a pre-taped interview with the victim ready to go a half hour later? No, he doesn't.
The Times endorsed Cuomo.
Right, exactly. So these things become more difficult to endure politically when you orient yourself the way he has. That's just a fact. That's just a fact. And so, you know, whatever you think about these accusations, whatever you think about Graham Platner, I don't care any more now than I did a week ago. We've said this over and over again. It's not about who Graham Platner is or what you think of him. He's not viable at this point. Like, he's just not a viable candidate at this point. And so at this point, you just have to drop out. You have to drop out. And Susan Collins is polling badly enough where the race is still very much salvageable if you put a generic Democrat in there or whoever. I mean, I don't know Maine politics at all. I don't know who the fuck they're going to find. They're talking about some governor's candidate.
They're looking at that guy,
whatever the fuck, some one-syllable name, a guy. I don't know anything about him at all, except that, you know, Bernie endorsed him for governor. So that's who they're looking at. And they just put out a poll yesterday, even with relatively limited name ID, relative to Platner at least. He's beaten Collins by 5 right now. So, you know, her approval is under 40. So she's definitely still beatable. It's not over for the Democrats in Maine, but it's over for him. It's over for him because his polling took a pretty substantial hit when that first round of bullshit accusations came out. His lead shrunk to between 5 and 10 to between 0 and 5. This, combined with his response, it's over. It's over. And it's tough. And this is why most people don't run for office. This is why, and, you know, you could say it's fair. I know there's people on both sides of this. But either way, you just have to look at it and say, however unfair this might be or might not be, like I said, whatever your opinion is your opinion. The fact of the matter is he's not a viable candidate anymore. And so he's got no business in the race anymore. That's it. That's it. That's the take. That's our story. We're sticking to it. All right. You want to take some chats and some rants?
Sure. Mark Blease. Not to be nuanced, but I hate McConnell, and I hope he's fucking dead.
Not to be nuanced.
So say we all.
Not to be nuanced.
Profanus Aurus Sex. May I be so bold to suggest that DD create a Rate My Rod site? Well, we have one. We have one. You gotta upgrade to the $80 a month membership level to get access to that site. We submit our rod picks. Those with less than 3 stars can mod. None of those 4 to 8 star egomaniacs.
Honors system. That's it. Strictly honor system.
Yeah, man. People start sending us pictures of their junk, man. That's on you.
Yeah.
Gianticus Prime, London of Lumrabia. Lawrence of Loom Arabia, also forgot the part where she herself was already brain dead. It was never there to begin with. Yeah, I have a banger from her in my Sneako piece today. Noah Goop, you guys laugh, but McConnell is going places, if you ask me. Kid's got spunk. Yeah.
If he dies,
First
they
Queen.
should get Graham Platner to run in Kentucky.
Yeah. Hey, he's their kind of voter over there.
Yeah.
Where is their kind of candidate? Where is Chevy Chase? Generalissimo Francisco Franco is still dead. Norm Macdonald would do this skit. Yeah. Me shoot skeet. Super sticker. No goop. Planter McConnell ticket wins 2028 total wipeout. Twitter left is in shambles. Hey man, if they'll keep voting for Lindsey Graham, why would they not vote for zombie Mitch McConnell?
Right.
Nocturnal human. What's the age of the Kentucky population? If it's all boomers, Massey has no chance. EO Shush.
It's going to be tough. I mean, if he couldn't win his home district, yeah, you're right. I mean, with all the money they'd spend against him, with if past his prologue, yeah, he would have a tough time for sure. Yeah.
EO Shush. If you want to know the pain that women who claimed Platner assaulted her feels, watch the video of Palestinian mothers picking up their children's body part and times it by 1 million. Yeah, well, this is where I'll say something controversial here, because why not? Yeah, a lot of people were saying, well, he was a Blackwater mercenary, or he was a war criminal, or he did this and he did that. And like I said, man, I never looked into it because I honestly didn't care because of that. I didn't see a better prospect on the table for doing something about that. In that regard, I'm frankly a one-issue voter. I don't care about this either, except insofar as he's not a viable candidate because of what you just said. Yeah, that's if that woman is telling the truth, if those allegations are true, that's horrible. Not as horrible as what is being done to the Palestinian people, which for me was the only rationale for Platner, which is why I didn't care about any of these things that came out about him.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear any stories of like sexual assault in the military that were ascribed to him. I'm not saying they weren't out there. I didn't hear
people were just saying shit. Like I said,
yeah,
I didn't bother to look into it. None. I mean, they were just saying as a general thing that he was a
black
murderer.
guy.
And so people throw around that word very freely in that context, and somewhat rightly so. But sure, whatever. Yeah, monster, whatever, man. I would like to see somebody in the Senate who might vote against a weapons appropriation. He's not going to do that. Well, Susan Collins is definitely not going to do that.
Right.
Maybe he'll do that. If he doesn't, that sucks. It's the only chance you got on the table in that case until you have your revolutionary army ready to go. Wake me when that is.
Come hang me when that happens.
Yeah, come hang me when that happens. I'll give you my address.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll save you the trip. I'll walk to the gallows in Central Park, right next to Chris Matthews there.
Yeah. All right, you got more?
We
should take a few more.
A few more came in.
Yeah.
All right, Shady Deals. I can mod provided you're not hung up on Jew jokes slipping by. Actually, Shady Deals, I think would be a good mod.
Yeah,
he's got the right temperament.
He's chill. You're chill.
Yeah, he's chill.
All right. Where are you at? Are you on Rumble or YouTube, Shady Deals? I gotta find out where you're at. I couldn't tell based on this. I think you're on Rumble. So, all right, we'll hook that up. You're hired.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah, definitely. That's the type. That's the type we want. Vianticus Prime, what do I look like? A guy who's not lazy? I don't know, man. I don't know what you do. I don't know what you do all day. Nocturnal Human, make George a mod.
Yeah, we need
some
Israelis.
Israeli censorship.
Yeah.
EO Shush, are they trying to date Platner or stop a genocide? I get it in normal times, but this ain't normal times. That's basically what I just said. I mean, yes, that's how I feel about it. But the political calculus is inescapable.
All right. The fact is he can't win. So whatever your opinion is, for whatever reason, whether it's fair or not fair, he cannot win at this point.
That's it.
Yeah.
The pigs did him on all fronts.
Yeah.
Richard Pemberton. According to my AI research, the Kentucky governor picks from 3 candidates nominated by the vacating senator's political party. So if they delay, they avoid an election. Yeah, but they leave the seat empty, which I didn't include it because I didn't want to drag out the piece. Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted about that. She was like, yeah, they don't care about leaving the seat empty. That way they can blame their inability to do anything on communists, and they don't actually have to be held accountable. Right. They don't have enough. They could say they don't have enough seats. Vienticus Prime, it's fine, Keaton. Just have your people contact my people. T-Bone, great show so far, gents. I like how you two capitalize on having guests when hosting the JD show. Works well, especially since the DD show is light on guests, which I appreciate your formatting.
Oh, well,
I mean, honestly, I feel like we've gone too far in not having guests. You know what it is? It's another thing to deal with and coordinate. So we just tend to not pursue it as much as maybe we should.
Russ was away for the month. He was away for a while. So people were missing this. They were missing this. This is what a lot of people were missing. They were missing me and Russ.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You basically had a month of guests.
Exactly. You had a lot of guests, and people missed just the two of us. So we're spending a little quality time together for your viewing pleasure.
All I'm going to say, I'm not going to say more than this. We just got to connect to a very high-profile guest who apparently to connect is a fan of the show. So all I'm going to say is we might be having a big interview coming up. Yeah. Haven't even gotten around to doing anything about it. Yep. Charles H., because I've been too busy programming the guest for Jimmy. Yep. I have got a great lineup for my week's doing Jimmy show. We just got Morandi, too.
Yeah, so Russ is hosting Jimmy all month, every Wednesday. I'm hosting Jimmy again on Friday.
Yeah, so this week we've got Professor Zenkus and Nick. Next week we have Katie Halper and Professor Morandi. And then the following week we have Peter Turchin, which I'm very excited about. Charles H., we have a pro data center, PR10. What is it? How am I supposed to read that?
I don't know.
Data center town hall meeting in my small town in North Dakota on my day off, going to pop in and counter it. So here's to hope I don't go to jail. Oh, don't do that. Don't go to jail.
Yeah. Just say your piece.
Vienticus Prime, such a riveting interview from Jake the Ass Tapper. So what you're telling me is he treated you like a Palestinian prisoner? Is that what you're saying about Graham Platner?
Do you think he's anti-Semitic on top of this?
Is he anti-Semitic? He seems with a mustache like that.
Yeah.
He probably is. Horrible People specializes in non-kosher food as an occupation.
Yeah.
Horrible People shouldn't hold positions of power. Can we make a clean sweep and start all over, or does it just apply to new applicants? I mean, it's an eternal thing that power tends not to attract the people you'd want to have power. This is where I've become more sympathetic to the Chinese Communist Party. Like, I get it. Like, okay, well, part of the way to get around that is to train people in a certain method of politics and not allow anybody to hold power who's not trained to that method. Now, of course, it's easier said than done, hence periodic corruption scandals in China. But I got to say, overall, and again, that's not really new in Chinese culture. It does go back to Confucianism, the idea of only allowing the wise and the virtuous, the trained, to have power in the bureaucracy. They basically adopted that to a communist theory. But yeah, that's an eternal problem of humanity, and that's their answer to that question in a lot of respects. how do you get around that? Well, make sure everybody is trained in a certain ideological theory that is virtuous in order to keep people who just want political power for unsavory motives from getting into power. Easier said than done. Eo Shush, Biden was accused of rape and nobody in the DNC told him to step down. No. All of a sudden, all the believe women people didn't believe that one woman.
Right.
All of a sudden, they start telling you what they were calling you a monster for saying for years. You know, some women lie about it. Oh, you weren't allowed to say that. And it got accused. Then they started saying it. It was incredible.
Yeah, no, they canceled me too for him.
Yep. Grape is okay if you're AIPAC backed. Yeah. Anything to stop Bernie Sanders from making a few minor tweaks to healthcare, which is how that would have ended up.
Right. We could do one more and then we'll go.
Okay. T-Bone, I am with Gen X and Janine Eunice girl on the Platner thing. Also, he could have gotten the final house visit from you-know-who. I hope he stays in. People voted a guy that said, grab him by the pussy. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, look, I think that's a totally respectable position. Unfortunately, Platner himself closed the door on that by issuing the statement that he did. When he said, I'm going to take time to reflect because of the political reality, that's tipping over your king there, man. Like, you forfeited at that point. So at that point, whatever your opinion is, once you say that, you're done.
You gotta, if you want to play that game, if you want to play that card successfully, you gotta go with the Eddie Murphy.
Yeah,
you get caught cheating rule. Deny it, even if she has pictures. Deny it.
What did Brett Kavanaugh do? What did Brett Kavanaugh do at his hearing? He sat down in that chair, and as soon as they tossed to him, it was just a fucking tirade.
It was like crying.
Yeah, he just starts screaming, this is a hit job, but the people, this is the Clinton sour grapes over president. Like, that's how you got to come out. If your story is you didn't do nothing, that's how you got to play it. The way he played it was too weak. It's over.
Well, and there, like, Mel has a point, right? Like, if that's how you're going to handle this, how you're going to be in the Senate.
It's over. That's it. Once you react that way, everybody's opinions are irrelevant. You're done. You're not a viable competitor past that point. Simple as that. All right. Let's move right on along. All right. This is a terrible story. This is not a fun story.
Hang on. Is this me again?
Yeah.
What else you got? What else you doing?
I got NATO.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. Cool. So we're going to do like all of Michael Tracy's tweets.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no.
I did like one.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, this is a terrible story. Okay. It is not even clear, tragically, if this doctor is still alive. Can you read the name there? My eyes are going.
Sorry, I'm muted. Hussam Abu Safiya.
Yeah, I didn't want to read it wrong. Okay, so this is from back in March. Al Jazeera did this story of a Palestinian doctor who has been held, as is pretty typical in Israel, with no charges, no evidence, no nothing. And the fear is if he's not dead already, he's going to be very soon. So this was the report on this from March. Dr. Abu Safiya refused to leave his patients in Gaza. Now his son says Israel is denying him medical care. Before his arrest, my father wasn't suffering from any symptoms, illnesses, or anything else. But unfortunately, after a while, the lawyer informed us at the beginning of his detention that my father was suffering from cardiac hypertrophy due to the conditions, torture, and his confinement in the cell. He was held in solitary confinement for 24 days while under investigation. Israel abducted Dr. Hussam. Sorry. Just trying to pause it. Israel abducted Dr. Hussam Abu Safiya while he was saving lives at Gaza's Kamal Adwan Hospital in December 2024. He has been detained for over 1 year without charge or trial. My father is still being held in Israeli prisons without any charges against him. His case file from the Israeli Public Prosecutor's Office shows that he has a clean record. There are no charges against him. But on the contrary, the Israelis are trying by every means and in every way to tarnish his reputation. Like many other Palestinian detainees, Dr. Abu Safiya has been denied medical treatment inside Israeli prisons. He has also been subjected to starvation, torture, and solitary confinement. The UN says he has experienced severe torture and that his condition is now dire. At one point, he was held in solitary confinement for over 3 weeks. International law prohibits solitary confinement that exceeds 2 weeks. As a family, we are deeply concerned about the medical neglect my father and other Palestinian prisoners are facing inside Israeli prisons. My father needs proper medical care, but unfortunately, there is no indication that he is receiving the appropriate treatment, which is a cause for serious concern. This poses a direct threat to his life. Dr. Abu Safiya is among at least 95 other Palestinian medical staff in Israeli custody. All right, so that was back in March. His condition has gravely deteriorated according to reports this weekend. This is from the Cradle. Quote, "They brought me here to kill me. This is the end." Dr. Hussam Abu Safiya fears he will not survive Israeli detention. Dr. Safiya, director of Kamal Adwan Hospital, is in immediate danger after his lawyer Nasser Odeh found him bearing severe injuries during a visit to the brutal underground Raqefet interrogation facility inside Nitzan prison. Odeh said Palestinian physician was beaten so badly that he initially struggled to recognize him. Shackled hand and foot and escorted by masked guards, Dr. Abu Safiya struggled to breathe and speak, could not sit upright, and repeatedly appeared close to losing consciousness. According to Dr. Safiya, 4 or 5 guards entered his solitary cell at Gaza prison after his Supreme Court appeal was heard on 10 June and beat him with a hammer and batons. Since his transfer to Raqefet on 24 June, he said he has been beaten daily, has lost consciousness several times, and has received no medical treatment. "This is the last time you will see me. They brought me here to kill me. I don't see myself surviving. This is the end." Physicians for Human Rights Israel said the escalation in torture began after Dr. Safiya challenged his detention in court. The organization has appealed to Israel's Attorney General and Prison Service, demanding his immediate transfer, an independent medical examination, and an urgent judicial visit before it is too late. Israeli occupation forces abducted Dr. Abu Safiya from Kamal Adwan Hospital in Beit Lahia on 27th December 2024 after he refused to abandon one of northern Gaza's last functioning hospitals during Israel's assault. He has remained imprisoned without charge under Israel's unlawful combatants law. Earlier visits had already documented severe weight loss from starvation and visible bruising, but his lawyer said his condition has now deteriorated dramatically. So this is a picture they shared with the tweet of how he looked October and how he looked in June. Presumably his condition now is even worse than what you might see here. So Al Jazeera did an updated video. His son very visibly more emotional, more desperate now, pleading with the world to save his father. Gaza's hero doctor says Israel is torturing him to death. Perhaps this call will be the last. Perhaps this cry will be the last. On July 2nd, Dr. Hussam Abu Safiya told his lawyer he was beaten daily, including with batons and a hammer. The day before yesterday, the lawyer Nasser Oda managed to visit, where he told us painful details about his visit. My father was unable to breathe. My father was unable to speak. His face was disfigured from the marks of torture and pain. Hussam Abu Safiya has been pleading for his father's release since Israel abducted him in 2024. For more than 555 days, I have been going out to the media to appeal to all free people of the world and those with human conscience and all the organizations and institutions that pretend to uphold human rights and human dignity. Dr. Safiya refused to leave his patients in Gaza, even though his wife is a citizen of Kazakhstan. Israeli soldiers detained him while he was on duty at Kamal Adwan Hospital. He has now been detained for over 18 months without charge or trial. They brought me here to kill me. I don't see myself surviving. This is the end. The UN says Dr. Abu Safiya is in immediate danger and is calling for an urgent intervention. We ask and beg you to stop being negligent before it is too late. So just absolutely horrible story. Hang on. Having a technical difficulty. I'm frozen. Do you have me?
I have you now. You froze for a minute.
I'm getting like robot.
There's an audio delay probably. It'll probably catch up. Yeah.
All right. There we go. So a little bit more on this from The Guardian. Abu Safiya had become the face of health workers struggling to treat patients throughout the war in Gaza before his detention. He is being held indefinitely, along with thousands of other Palestinian civilians, in prisons that Israeli rights groups say have become torture camps. In late May, he was transferred from Ketziat prison to the Gano prison complex and put in solitary confinement without explanation, O'Day said. Abu Safiya described an attack there by guards using hammers and batons shortly after appearing via video link at a Supreme Court appeal hearing challenging his detention. He was then moved to the Rockefeller facility on 24 June, where Oded noted a severe and dangerous deterioration in his condition. Quote, I have visited Dr. Safiya several times since his detention, but the individual I encountered during this latest visit was not the same person I had previously met, Oda said on Sunday, calling for an immediate independent medical examination. Quote, his physical and psychological state, the severe injuries visible on his body, and his personal testimony leave no room for doubt. His life is in immediate danger, unquote. Abu Safiya appeared frightened, distressed, and reluctant to speak freely in the meeting, O'Day said, but told his lawyer that he was subjected to Rockefeller jail and had lost consciousness several times as a result. Rockefeller, where prisoners never see day, was built in the 1980s to hold senior organized crime figures before being closed on the grounds it was inhumane. It was reopened on the orders of the far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir. Other Palestinians detained there reported feeling breathless and choking in the unventilated, overcrowded cells, even without injuries like those sustained by Abu Safiya. Here is a little bit from Derek Summerfield, a psychiatrist specializing in war torture victims, here on Sky News.
Suppose that Dr. Abu Safiya has come to represent the plight of the health service in Gaza when they are faced by a state that doesn't just kill doctors and nurses and assistants by accident, but aims for them by way of destroying the society and the schools and the universities. That's why Gaza is a heap of ruins. And because he has, he's had that status, and because he is still a survivor, Israel would rather let him, wither away in prison than release him, it would seem. Despite many pleas, and the British Medical Association have called out for his release or whatever, but Israel has impunity. Impunity is the key to understanding these things.
That's it. That's it. They know they can get away with it. And at this point, tragically, I hate to say this, they would rather let him die than have such a compelling and sympathetic figure out there to describe what they did to him. This is Delia Ramirez. She's a congresswoman from Illinois speaking out, shamefully, one of the few. Dr. Hussam Abu Safiya, a prominent Palestinian doctor, has been detained for 18 months without charge or trial. Now he's reportedly in critical condition after being beaten by IDF soldiers. We must put an end to the impunity and violations of U.S. and international law. We must defend our shared humanity. We must pass my Block the Bombs Act. I didn't even know she was behind that. Did you?
It's not a huge shock that she'd be one of the. I didn't know that she brought the legislation. I don't know if she's a sponsor or whatever, but yeah, it's not terribly surprising.
She doesn't get a lot of press.
Yeah.
Finally, from Al Jazeera, UN rights body demands release of Palestinian doctor detained by Israel. A UN human rights group is warning that the life of Palestinian doctor Hussam, I gotta get this name right, Hussam Abu Safiya, is in imminent danger and is demanding his immediate release from arbitrary Israeli detention. The UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention found Israel's actions violated multiple articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. So yeah, just watching this horror now for years and watching the impunity with which Israel is able to get away with just committing these horrible human rights violations in broad daylight, without even being able to get most governments to acknowledge what's happening. It's just horrific. It's just horrific. We just saw a couple of weeks ago, pictures came out of a man who they brought into detention. Again, no trial, no charge. And he got such a severe brain injury. Now like half of his head is gone, but he's still alive. If any other country on earth were doing this, I honestly believe there'd be a move in the UN to collectively invade the country. It is just such a constant litany of horrors from the Israeli state. I have been saying this for a while. I don't think the Israeli state can survive what it has done to its worldwide reputation. Most people around the world at this point do not support Israel. I don't think you can sustain a state with that kind of universal hostility. If there's anything history shows us, when you attempt to ban and censor speech, you only give it more force. They're taking that approach now. It's not working. It's not going to work. This will end. And a lot of these people who think they're invincible and invulnerable, like Ben-Gvir, like Beelzebub Smotrich, Netanyahu will probably die before he sees justice, frankly. But yes, the day is going to come. Not soon enough. A lot of people like this doctor, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I mean, there are going to be war crime trials. I think there will be accountability for this at some point. But this is really beyond that. I mean, you talk about an indictment of an entire society and an entire state down to the rank and file Israeli. That's what really this is, because when you look at cases like this and you look at just the horror and the grotesque spectacle of it, you know, even states that have really abused the sort of powers that have been bestowed upon them through, you know, quote unquote democratic means, like, for example, the United States, right? When Julian Assange was being tortured to death, our government decided, you know what? We really can't afford to have this guy die in custody going into a campaign season, so we better cut him a deal and get him out, right? We better do something to save face, to make it look like we're not as brutal as we actually are. The Israelis feel no such pressure to do that. Like you said, they think it's probably in their political interest to just let him die so that they don't have to actually show the world what they did to him, right? And that is an indictment of the society that empowers people who make those kinds of calculations. And to that point, we covered this a little bit in the last episode, Netanyahu shockingly represents the center of of Israeli politics, not the fringe, right? So in other words, you have, you know, about a third of the country.
He's the moderate Nazi there.
That's even more draconian than him. That's why Ben-Gvir leads in polls of who would handle crime the best, right? A guy who's literally literally convicted for inciting racism, terroristic violence, rioting. That's the guy they trust to handle crime. And so, yeah, it really is an indictment of the entire state from soup to nuts. And yeah, it's horribly upsetting and it's horribly bleak, but it's also really a chilling demonstration of the principle that might makes right, because ultimately all of these principles, all these laws, all these codes, right, international law for that matter, these are just words on a page. They have to be enforced by people with power to enforce them, or else they don't mean anything.
Right.
And Israel knows that they're not going to be enforced by people with the power to enforce them, and so therefore they may as well not be there. And they act as if they don't exist, because in reality, I guess they don't. I guess it's just words on a page, unless people actually enforce these things. But you're right. I mean, if this were any other state doing this, there would be calls to intervene militarily. Because these abuses, not only are they horrific,
it's constant.
Yeah, not only are they horrific, they're constant, as you just said, and also they're not contained to within the borders of their state and their occupied territories. Look what they're doing to Lebanon. It's spread. Look what they did to Syria. Right? It's expanding. You know, it is evil on the march. There's no other way to say it. And I think there will be, I mean, I know that, yes, there will be justice for this someday. I do think a lot of people overseeing this are going to see the inside of a jail cell at some point. But unfortunately, not fast enough.
Yes.
All right. You want to take some more chats? Whose turn is it to take?
I think it's yours, isn't it?
I think it's mine. Yeah, it is mine. All right. What do we got over here? What happened? Did my feed stop? I think the app stopped populating these. Let me see if I can refresh it. I think we're missing some, because I know some came in over on YouTube, but let me see. I'm gonna have to text Jake and ask him to refresh something here. Let's see. On yours, right? Because didn't we have some?
Should I just start reading what you have there?
Yeah, go ahead.
While you're looking for these?
Go ahead.
All right.
Yep, start reading.
All right. Shush. One white woman accusation of rape is equal to 40,000 children alive. Hey, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I said that. Now I can't run for office. Oh, George, nocturnal human is right. I'm the perfect guy to protect you from these antiseptic, communist, Nazi, transhumanist detractors trying to post here Just send me the keyword list. I don't really have a keyword list because you need context, right? Shady Deals. Shot y'all an email. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
That's it. I'm out.
Okay.
I'm out, baby.
Yeah, I think we're definitely missing some. All right, I'll text Jake and see if maybe he has to update this back end. In the meantime, I'll read some that I can't display, unfortunately, but I do have them in the back end of the YouTube. Richard Pemberton.
Well,
go ahead.
Okay. I mean, okay. All right.
According to my research, the Kentucky governor picks from 3 candidates nominated by the vacating senator's political party. So if they delay, they avoid an election. The Kentucky governor picks from 3 candidates nominated by the senator's party. Oh, okay. All right. So they can avoid an entire election. All right. Interesting. Let's see here. Richard Pemberton says, okay, AI sucks. Looks like the Kentucky law about the list of 3 is no longer law. Oh, okay. And an election must be held. There you go. All right. So you corrected yourself there. But who knows if I'm right this time. Thank you. Tickled to Death says, yeah, this isn't a Supreme Court appointment. Dizel says, the left are pussies. There, I said it. Who's surprised? Thank you for that. P. Walker says, the very same Democrats who ignored Tara Reid are suddenly condemning Platner. Well, yeah, that is true. Beast Rex says, my Mitch Fitz t-shirts are going to skyrocket in the value. All right. You know what? Let me text Jake and see if he can update the app because that'll make him come in. And then we will go from there. So let me just do this right now. Hang on, stand by, folks. Let's see. Hey, I think the app is frozen. YouTube chat's not coming in anymore. Can you check when you get a chance? See, I'm giving you a little inside baseball. I'm reading my text message.
There's what we call quality programming.
There we go. All right. So I'll give Jake a chance to refresh that in the back end. And then if he doesn't, we still have them. We'll just read them. And we will continue on the show either way. All right. Let's move right on along here. What do we got? Okay, yes. NATO. Trump is in Turkey for the big NATO Summit. That's right. So things got started off here with a celebration of war and weapons of war. NATO showcases big arms deals in Ankara before summit with Trump. Is that how you say it? Is it Ankara or Ankara? The Turkish.
I think it's Ankara.
Ankara? There you go. All right. Ankara. There we go. Yeah. So NATO leaders began unveiling arms deals worth tens of billions of dollars in Turkey on Tuesday, driving home the message that they are heeding U.S. calls to spend more to defend Europe before a summit with President Donald Trump. To upbeat tunes and slick videos at a defense industry forum in the capital, Ankara, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte announced a series of initiatives as the sum of various deal values was projected onto a screen. He called for a defense industry revolution across the alliance, warning over Russia's massive military spending as well as China, North Korea, and Iran. Here he is saying we are on the cusp of the transatlantic defense industrial revolution.
We are on the cusp of the transatlantic defense industrial revolution. I'm asking you to take a leap and show our people that we are ready and capable to protect them anywhere at any time. And show Russia and all those watching today that the transatlantic defense industrial base is mobilizing with purpose. Not in anger, but for our collective security.
Not in anger, but for our collective security. The announcements follow Trump's frequent criticism of Europe for insufficient defense contributions and over-reliance on the U.S. to defend them through NATO, which has protected the continent since the early years of the Cold War. Trump reinforced the message in a video previewing his visit on Truth Social, urging Europe to spend more on its own defense. And here he is being asked, are further troop drawdowns in Europe likely in response to they're not holding up their end of the bargain. And he says, well, we're going to see. He's disappointed in NATO, not for waging too much war, but for waging apparently not enough. Not enough. Very upset that they didn't join us in Iran.
Say it. Are further troop drawdowns in Europe likely? And are you satisfied with the progress that NATO allies have made?
Well, we're going to see. I was very disappointed with NATO. And frankly, if it weren't held in Turkey, where my friend happens to be a very strong leader, a very strong person, it's possible that I wouldn't have attended. I felt I had to attend because of the fact that, I know he's gone all out. It was a big thing to have NATO come to Turkey or any place else. It's a big thing. But we weren't treated well because we did something in Iran. We don't need anybody's help. I didn't even want their help. But before I asked, they said they wouldn't be there. And we've invested trillions of dollars in NATO. Why? To protect European countries and others, Canada, etc., but to protect people, countries from, generally speaking, it used to be the Soviet Union, now it's Russia. And I say that's fine, but you would think that they'd be very willing to do something to help us. And they really weren't. In the case of the United Kingdom, the Prime Minister, I guess he's no longer there, maybe because of this. It was a very unpopular thing he did. He said, no, we'll help after the war is over.
Yeah, no, the people of the UK were itching to go into Iran. That's why he lost, because he was not sufficiently supportive of the Iran war. That's why he's not there anymore. The Iran war is a very, very popular war. I think 18% of Americans support the Iran war. It's doing very, very well. It's doing big numbers for us.
I said,
it's very popular over there.
We didn't need any help at all. And in a way, I was testing people. I was testing to see whether or not they'd be there, because I've long said
you were testing people. That's right.
We helped them, but I'm not sure that they'd be there for us. And Italy turned us down, and Germany turned us down, and France turned us down. And it's okay. But, why are we spending hundreds of billions of dollars and they're not there for us? We've always been there for them.
So, it went from, I'm going to get the Ukraine war under control in 24 hours to, well, NATO's going to have to pay their fair share for the Ukraine war to actually now we need you to support our war with Iran. Kind of seems like Donald Trump is not really anti-NATO for the right reasons. It's just a matter of dollars and cents to him, right? It's not like he sees NATO as an instrument of aggression in a bad way. If anything, he seems to be upset that they are not war hungry enough to the extent that they should be, because they owe it to us to help us go into Iran. It's amazing to see the exact same arguments repeated. What did we hear in 2003, 2004 from the Bush administration about our weak, ungrateful European allies? Where do you think freedom fries came from, right? Same exact argument. Same exact argument. Oh, they should be more grateful to us. How could they leave us with our dicks in our hands going into Iraq? Well, same thing here. Same thing here. He's also apparently still very upset over Greenland. I didn't think he'd want to maybe bring this up. You'd think maybe you'd want to let Greenland go after all this time, but apparently not. Apparently, here is Trump saying, what really hurt my relationship with NATO is Greenland, not giving us Greenland.
With respect to what? Well, that's what hurt my relationship with NATO. Because Greenland doesn't help Denmark. Denmark doesn't spend money to really help Greenland, but it's an important part for the United States. And it's surrounded by China ships and Russian ships. And that's not going to happen. The ships it's not going to happen. It was Greenland that, and it continues to be, that should be controlled by the United States, not by Denmark.
Oh, boy.
And when they wouldn't go along with it, and with all the money we spend to help them with Russia, and we don't have to spend any money, we could remove all of our soldiers out of Europe. Because as you probably noticed, Europe's a very different place than it was 20 years ago. A lot different, much different. It's a much different, and they better be careful with immigration and energy. If they're not careful with those two things, you're not going to have a Europe anymore. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. That's gangbusters. Yeah. So still kind of butthurt over Greenland, still thinks they're not paying their way, still is a little upset at the NATO allies for not joining us in Iran. But the other thing, another big thing here at the NATO conference that was subject of a lot of controversy here is Trump expected to tell Turkey he is ready to restore access to F-35 jets. Now, what's controversial about this is that the Israelis are adamant that he not do this. So will he? Will this be the time he burns them? Have we seen this movie before, everybody? President Trump is expected to tell President Recep Tayyip Erdogan of Turkey that he is prepared to restore the country to a program that would allow it to purchase F-35 stealth fighter jets, a move that would reverse a ban Mr. Trump himself imposed 7 years ago on national security grounds. But the shift by Mr. Trump, who was heading to a NATO summit in Ankara this week, has said that he was preparing to bring a gift that would make Mr. Erdogan very happy, could face opposition in Congress, which could seek to block it. In 2019, during Mr. Trump's first term, Turkey was thrown out of the F-35 program because it brought advanced S-400 anti-aircraft systems from Russia. At the time, Washington's fear was that Turkey could train the S-400s on the newly provided F-35s, and that Russia would learn how to deal with the fighter jet's stealth and other missile avoidance capabilities. They must overcome a law passed by Congress in 2020 that blocks the sale of F-35s unless the administration concludes that Turkey no longer possesses the Russian systems. It appears that in order to accomplish that goal, Turkey's S-400s, many of which are still in their shipping containers, may be handed over to a third party, according to one administration official who has been deeply involved in the talks. Turkey has been lobbying furiously for readmission to the F-35 program for years, but until now has been unwilling to give up the air defense systems it bought from Russia, even while sitting in the NATO alliance and hosting an American base where tactical nuclear weapons are stored for potential use in the NATO conflict with Moscow. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu warned Donald Trump against allowing Turkey to purchase these F-35s because it will upset the power balance in the Middle East, which is ultimately guaranteed by Israeli air superiority. So here he was yesterday on Fox News.
The thing I'd like to say, because we're on the verge of the president's going to Turkey, look, Turkey is a great country, but it's governed by a man who calls openly for the annihilation of Israel. He occupies half of Cyprus, a NATO country. He's threatening Greece, another NATO country. And he talks openly about conquering Jerusalem. His foreign minister, his number two, said that the Jewish state hasn't a place among humanity. Basically, it has to be wiped out. His interior minister, said he looks forward to be the governor of Jerusalem. Well, for a regime infected by the Muslim Brotherhood, an extreme movement that hates America and chants death to America from that side of the spectrum, I don't think they should be given F-35s or the engines for their fighter jets, because that'll upset the power balance in the Middle East, which is ultimately guaranteed by Israeli air superiority and also by, I think, by America's posture in the Middle East.
Yeah, I thoroughly agree. Plus,
Yeah, you thoroughly agree. So this presents kind of a conflict because Turkey has been a NATO member for over 70 years. They're actually one of the biggest military forces in NATO. You know who's not in NATO? Israel. Israel is not in NATO. So this is a point of anxiety because there's been, hostility, obviously, between Netanyahu and Erdogan. And what if there should be some military conflict between Israel and NATO? That would put us in a kind of a tough pickle, right? Because we are sworn to defend NATO countries, but also Israel is such a key and important ally, right? So let's see. Did Trump heed those warnings? We saw some speculation from the New York Times. We saw Bibi go on and give him his warning there. Now he gets the question, are you going to sell F-35s to Turkey? This is this morning at the NATO Summit.
Well, it's a decision we're going to make. We have a very good relationship. I would think that many people, I can tell you, many people, including the people sitting right here, thinks, why wouldn't we do that? We have a better relationship with Turkey, and Turkey's been in many ways much more loyal than other countries that we think would be loyal. So, yeah, it's something certainly we would consider. It's a great plane. It's the best, currently the best plane by far. And it's certainly something we will consider, yeah.
Certainly something we will consider. What about these concerns over the S-400 technology and transferring that technology to third parties? Says, I have no concerns about anything.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Is that not part of the deal?
Third party? What is the third, with respect to what?
There's our concerns about the Russian missile defense system. Do you have those concerns about this system? Are they going
I
to
have no concerns at all about anything. I mean, he's a leader of a country that he's made a much better country, much more powerful country. And you see it. I mean, it's beautiful. You get off, the roads are beautiful. It's an amazing thing. No, I have no concerns about anything having to do with Turkey. The relationship, I would say the relationship with Turkey right now is better probably than it's ever been. It was good in my first 4 years, but I think now it's probably even better than that, if that's possible.
See, so you have Netanyahu who hates Erdogan. Trump likes Erdogan for a couple reasons. One, he views all of this foreign policy as being very transactional, right? He feels like it's good business to sell equipment, right? Just dollars and cents. Also, Erdogan really bet on Trump winning the 2024 election. He famously snubbed Joe Biden in the visit to the White House, an invited visit to the White House, which signaled that he favored Donald Trump in that election. And of course, flattery is the best and fastest way to Trump's heart. So a little bit of a love triangle going on here between Trump, Turkey, and the Israelis. Mark Levin chimes in, if Erdogan was considering joining Iran against us in our war against Iran, why the hell would we sell them F-35s and jet engines? Not a word about his threats to Israel, Greece, Cyprus. Not a word about how our cutting-edge technology, which took tens of billions and decades to perfect under multiple administrations, will be protected from getting into Putin's hands. As I said, a mistake. A big mistake. That's right. Mark Levin, not happy. Not happy at all there. Not only that, but Trump also saying that they're going to ease up on sanctions against Turkey. That's right. So not only are they talking about giving them the F-35s, but also now talking about easing up the sanctions against Turkey and Erdogan. We don't sanction friends, he says. Let me see if I pull that video? I thought I pulled that video. Let's see here. Sorry, I might have to go and grab that one. I thought I had it. Where the hell is it? I guess I don't have it. That's all right. It's not important. I mean, we just read the quote. That's exactly what he said. So between all that, like I said, a little bit of tension developing there at the NATO Summit. And, look, I mean, it is an interesting question. Like, where do you fall here? It's hard for me to imagine that they would sell these F-35s to Turkey against Israel's will, because they don't want a military conflict between Israel and Turkey, I would think, because that puts the United States in kind of a tough spot, does it not? I mean, that could be the end of NATO right there, which for all of Trump's talk, it doesn't seem like that's what he wants. It seems like he wants NATO as an instrument of aggression in Trump's wars of choice. He doesn't seem to be really serious about dismantling or disempowering NATO. A conflict between Israel and Turkey could be a way of doing that. Of course, the price of doing that would, of course, be our instigating of yet another hot war on Israel's behalf. So it's hard to exactly root for that outcome. We were hoping when Trump got in that the one promise he'd make good on would be reining in NATO by negotiating an end to the Ukraine war. It hasn't happened. Zelensky, by the way, at the NATO summit, lobbying for admission into NATO, just as he was under Joe Biden. So the drums of war seem to be beating on, despite this little tension here between the Israelis, the Turks, and Trump himself, kind of caught in the middle.
Yeah, ironically enough, you don't have a president now any more than you had one under Joe Biden.
Right, exactly.
Like, I don't take anything that Trump says seriously. I think they wheel him out. They let him say shit so people think there's actually somebody in charge at the White House.
Right.
And then in the end, mysteriously, he winds up doing what Israel wants him to do. Somehow it always ends that way. So yeah, Trump can say whatever he wants. It's not if Netanyahu doesn't like it, if Miriam doesn't like it, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. He likes to go out and make these waves and make these kinds of statements. Actions speak louder than words. Trump is there to make as much money as possible off the incredible licensing opportunity represents to him. That's it. That's it. That's what he's there for. The rest of this, I just run my mouth for a couple days, and you guys tell me what to do.
You know, you disappointed me there. You disappointed me there on Iran. And by the way, you know, we really need Greenland. It's really terrible that, you know, Denmark doesn't need Greenland. We need Greenland. Yeah, they're going to invade Greenland now. Yeah. Sure. That's next. That's what they're in a position to do. I'm surprised he didn't let that go rhetorically. I'm surprised he brought that up, actually. You'd think he may want to just take the L on that one, but no, had to bring that up when he had the chance. All right.
You seen the girls' sports, all women.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. He starts touting about the women's sports.
Me
there at NATO. That's
I
all
did
me.
that.
That's all me. That's all me. All right. You want to take some of these? I'll start copying over from the YouTube backend manually.
You got it. You got it. Sorry, Russ. Look at how quick mainstream Democrats got behind serial assaulter Andrew Cuomo. Well, look who's the mayor. Like that is part of that story. Like, yeah, Mamdani is very talented. I do not believe if they had run somebody who was not Andrew Cuomo against him, that he'd be the mayor right now. So in the end, no, he wasn't able to skate with those accusations. Heavy snack. In 2015, Platner violently grabbed me by the waist and told me to get ready for transports. See, then Emma would have stood by him.
Yeah.
Darius King. I don't have a problem with Platner, but he has too many scandals for him to be easily attacked. We don't need him to get in office, and we find out he's under investigation for we got you. Yeah, that's why I said Keaton broke this. I was actually getting an eye exam yesterday for new glasses. I may start to wear glasses on the air because that does come up sometimes. Yeah, like sometimes the print is too small. Like my vision's not like yours, but yeah, maybe. But yeah, when Keaton sent this over to me, I was like, yeah, man, I mean, even if he gets through this, he's dumb, man, because once he gets in the Senate, who knows what else is going to come out about this guy? Why, he freaking raped a midget? Like, you know, like, who knows? Who knows what the next thing's going to be? John Olmstead, him and Chelsea Handler. Not going to lie, I think Graham Platner was a sheepdog this whole time. Notice how he keeps repeating, we must defeat Susan Collins, a.k.a. vote blue no matter who.
Well, it's his job. Well, he's a Democrat. I mean, he's beyond.
Well, that's what he's going to say.
That's what he's going to say,
yeah. Kuznetsky was saying Egypt was robbed in World Cup by bad refereeing. It's very weird how much Egypt's coming up today. I got Egypt in my segment too. Vienticus Prime just in. U.S. Treasury revokes general license waiver that authorized the sale of Iranian oil. Yeah, well, this was breaking right before we went on that Iran had fired on ships. Again. Skulking Kunk. Cheap APAC hit job. Remember Snowden and Assange. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's an effective one, right?
Yeah.
That's all that really matters. And Terrabang 5000, if nominated, I will not run. If elected, I will not serve. 2026 DD mod candidates. That's a good one. Doug Ritchie read on the internet today, new nickname for Mitch, Rigor Tortoise. That wins the internet today. That's pretty good.
That's not bad. I like that.
Truth Seeker, do you think Platner and other toxic candidates were secretly supported by Republican Zionists in order to ensure they hold the seat by getting them nominated? And
I'll just read the rest of it because it got cut off. And not getting decent candidates time for an effective campaign. That's the.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think, look, honestly, being in a position to be the subject of conspiracy theories has made me skeptical of those kinds of casual conspiracy theories. You know what I mean? Like, I see stuff about who's paying Russ and Keaton, so I know how easily these accusations could be made. And it's given me a certain kind of skepticism about it when it's casual. Like, there are conspiracy theories that are 100% true, like Epstein Island, right? That's a good example. But these kind of, this person's a plant and they're meeting in a room and they're, yeah, man. I mean, as a rule, it's not that deep. It really isn't.
Yeah,
Not
it's
as a
tough to
rule.
see. Like,
sometimes
where...
it is, but not as a rule. And with the people for whom that's true, you don't have to dig too deep. It's kind of obvious.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it's tough to tell, like, where he came from and all of that. But no, I mean, look, the bottom line is, like, he was polling very, very well. He was a guy with a very troubled background that people kind of knew going in. But, you know, because of that military background, you know, he pulled in a certain demographic
because of how he presented.
And how he presents. It was part of the whole branding. And you know, look, the flip side of that is that you're prone to these kinds of things coming out. And like I said, you know, somebody who said, you know, it was an AIPAC hit job could have very well been. There's a way, I don't know the extent to which you could have effectively fought back against it, but he didn't really try. He didn't really try. Like, this latest video, he basically conceded. Like, that's what everybody has to understand. He weakened himself. Like, his response to this was very determinative about how the response kind of formulated around him. If he had come out and said, I didn't do it, this is bullshit, fuck this, I don't know that his endorsers would have jumped ship in the way that they did. Because he'd have made a forceful denial. He'd have made a show of strength. Once you show weakness, you're inviting people to jump ship on you.
Right. And there's not, it's not like, was there a candidate with the same views who was stronger, who got kneecapped by him being in the race?
Well, that's the other
like where's the motive? And Kinky there's saying, Erica Kirk's a conspiracy. Yeah, I think she is, based on her behavior. That's not normal for a wife to be that incurious about what happened to her husband. Does that mean that she's involved in the murder? No, but it does tell me TPUSA, among many other factors, the fact that the organization as a whole is so incurious about and so intent on deflecting anyone who is curious about what happened to Charlie Kirk. Yeah, they're infiltrated by AIPAC. And yeah, it's a conspiracy. But if you look at the behavior, it matches the theory. What I'm talking about is you generally have people who pretty much anyone they disagree with is being paid by someone.
Right, they'll just say that.
They're an op. They'll say that about anybody.
Right. And the thing about TPUSA is, like, my skepticism is not even so much about the murder so much as it is, like, they have just been bizarrely silent about all of these things that Charlie himself cared a lot about, like Thomas Massey. You know, Charlie Kirk said Thomas Massey was his favorite congressperson. They don't have anything to say when he's getting primary. Come on, that's fucking suspicious.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
When
you look at the fact pattern, now you got something.
Right.
But you can't very casually just, I don't like this person's politics, they're compromised. You know, people can actually just disagree with you, honestly.
There are a lot of people who just don't have good opinions. Yeah, quite a few.
Yes. So speaking of bad opinions, this is going to be quite a cavalcade of bad opinions here. All right. So this is Sneako. Never run into him, but he lives here in New York. And like myself, he is a native. So this video kind of went viral a couple weeks ago, where he had a little back and forth with an Israeli family right in the middle of Times Square.
Nico, I wish you the best of luck. And if you want to, I'll take you there. And I guarantee you, nothing will happen to you.
Okay.
I promise you.
Okay. Good to meet you, bro. And remember, your government's committing a genocide.
That's what you've been told. That's what you've been told.
Okay, then the 6 million, then why do we have to believe that? If you're going to deny this one, then people should be able to deny your Holocaust.
People do deny it.
Then it's 6 million, 6 million, 6 million.
And people do
It's
deny
illegal
it.
in Europe to deny this.
People do deny it. So.
Well, you call them the worst people of all time. You get banned on social media. You get canceled. You can get arrested. So, that's clearly proof of overwhelming control. This is not fair. You have the Free Palestine. Let's get a Free Palestine.
There never was a
Free Palestine. 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 And look, we kicked them out of this land the same way they kicked the Palestinians out of that land. Walk away.
All right, so that got around, but that didn't cause a meltdown in paid Zionist op world on X the way that this did. Now, Sneako is making his living basically trolling these people. And on that level, I must say, well done, sir. This was quite a troll.
Allahu Akbar! Oh no! Fuck you! This is the Islamic Republic of New Yorkistan. Islam will be in every household. Inshallah, the whole world is Muslim. Welcome to Mamdani's New York. You see this city? You see how it looks? Inshallah, your city looks just like this too.
Okay. That's a pretty obvious troll. Sneako has actually made other videos talking about how ridiculous the paranoia about a Muslim takeover is, given that Muslims are 1.8% of the population. But yeah, that's an epic troll. And if he wanted all of the grifters to decide to jump on this to make their daily bread, mission accomplished. Grifter in chief, the original grifter. The old school grifter, the goat of grifters, Alex Jones. Deport him now. Deport him now. I got to hold on to some of that Trump audience. That's a lot of my lucre. That's a lot of how I'm paying off those Sandy Hook families. I got to hold on to some of them. Nothing they like better than a little deportation talk. Elon Musk. Yes. Sneako responded quite appropriately to Elon. Go back to Africa. This is my country. And our friend Eddie Lager, who actually, I don't know if he's still on. He was watching before. Sneako was born in America. Yeah, he's literally a native New Yorker. He was born in New York City. You were born in South Africa and emigrated to Canada. You lived in the U.S. for 10 years before ever becoming a citizen. Sneako is more American than you will ever be. Damn right. So Sneako here responded a little bit to Elon.
They say Elon wants free speech. So the king of free speech wants me deported from my own country for free speech? The African migrant says I should be deported from my own country for exercising my right to my First Amendment? This is your king of free speech? The one saying he wants to let loose on Epstein Island at the most wildest party available? The only reason there's no photo of him there is because it never happened. It seems like they didn't want him. That's your king of free speech? Deporting me, an American-born citizen.
Yep. But Alex wasn't done. Man. Look, man. Give the man his due. He knows where the money is. He can smell it. He can smell where the money is. So he's gonna stick his nose in that trough, get as much as he can out of this. Oh, what should I say to really get the biggest morons in my audience excited? Deport Sneako. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it.
What's change? The guy reaches millions of people a day. He is anti-Islam. He's pro-Islam. He is pro-Trump. He's anti-Trump. He's pro-lockdown. He's
are you describing yourself there, Alex? Weren't you pro-Trump and then anti-Trump and then pro-Trump and then anti-Trump? How many times you've been on that side of the fence, brother?
Against the lockdown. And he'll flip-flop from day to day, whatever group he's with. But here he is in New York, one of the Allah Akbar events, where we got a bunch of video chanting, we're taking over Sharia law. He joins in, hops around and screams and says it, but he's not a U.S. citizen, and his ass needs to be deported.
You're at that point, you're unforgivably fucking ignorant of what you're talking about to be making this kind of call. It's true. Some of the people we're going to see in this segment, I believe, are so fundamentally stupid that they really don't know what they're talking about. Alex is not a dumb guy. I think he knows how dumb his audience is. If you think that we think that the Alex Jones audience is stupid, you're God forbid you ever hear what Alex Jones says about you behind closed doors. This man has absolutely no respect for the people who listen to him. That is very obvious from what he knows he can get away with, like falsely claiming that this native New Yorker is not an American citizen. They'll never look into it. Why? Who cares? I'll just say it.
Elon Musk agreed with me and said yes, and boosted my post on this yesterday. Deport him now. Sneako declares New York an Islamic state. Islam will be in every household. Inshallah, the whole world will become Muslim. Well, that is the Quran. It is go read it. I read it twice. It is a battle manual of how he took over Medina and then Mecca and how he promised the world.
No, it isn't.
And he teaches them how to deceive, how to act friendly at first, then push people out of each town.
Look, I'm not a fan of organized religion. That includes Islam. I'm not a fan of the Quran, but that's not what it says.
Then push them out of the country. This is Islam. And when it's a snake or a spider, I never miss because it's defensive. I click into the mode. You think normally I can throw a weight 10 feet perfectly, splat the head? You think normally I can throw a rock perfectly and splat the head? No. It's the defender in me. And you have instincts, too, that you can turn on and you can hone. And Sneako, I'm not calling for splatting his head, but
Alex Jones, who wound up getting sued for what? $1 billion fucking dollars, is talking about splatting a podcaster's head. That's smart, Alex. Very smart. Smart guy. I guess keeping his master Elon pleased requires a certain amount of risk.
Culturally, I'm calling for putting him nonviolently in an airplane like a cannon, a clown in a cannon at the circus, and shooting him out of it back to the Middle East.
We're gonna
with all of his other little compatriots. Bye-bye. Sneako was born in New York City in a family with Haitian and Filipino ancestry.
Shove him into a cannon and blast him out.
French fluently.
So yeah, no, that's nonviolent.
Peacefully,
I'm suggesting we throw him out of an airplane. That's what I meant.
We're going to peacefully shoot him into
out
outer
of an airplane. Yeah, so he finds out.
That hurts.
I guess he's got a producer over there that ixnay on the not a citizen nay.
He moved to Miami, Florida, and did Islam. I heard he's a foreigner. Whatever.
Well, maybe you should know about those things before you go on the air and claim them, Alex.
I think if somebody declares they're for a foreign religion, a foreign power here to overthrow the country, I think they ought to have their citizenship stripped, even if he is a citizen, and get his ass out of here.
That's consistent with the First Amendment.
Yeah, no, and that's
yeah.
very constitutional. The very idea of a foreign religion. What is that? What is that? Yeah, no, these people.
You can argue Christianity's a foreign religion.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's from the Middle East, right?
Yeah.
Middle Eastern religion. That's not from the West. You want Western religion, you got to start worshiping Odin.
Yeah.
Now, I got to say, man, this is encouraging. This is encouraging if you're losing faith in humanity, because X really boosts the chuds who are going to agree with this take. And I don't think there are enough to boost, man. Like, most takes were like this. Welfare queen, South Afrikaner Elon's money pushing for merging of Israel-U.S. tech defense. Alex got his 7,000 Hasbro check to destroy America and our Constitution. That's not cherry-picked. You can go look up the tweet yourself. That represented not 90%, but I would say 60 to 70% of the responses. Now, this guy is an idiot. Absolute moron. And the fact that he has a successful show and platform, that says a lot.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the Constitution says. It doesn't matter. Well, it does. But I don't believe what it matters what the original Constitution says, not how, the woke Supreme Court justices interpret it. Being born in America doesn't make you an American.
Oh, no.
Whenever you're chanting and talking about Islam taking over the country, how can you talk about how you are you're an American because of whatever reason, whenever that's literally against the First Amendment? You're literally trying to say that, I want to ignore that. This is...
So the First Amendment doesn't apply if what you're saying is against the First Amendment. This is what he's putting out to guy. I mean, it's no brain trust over there.
No,
on the Alex Jones show, but wow, these are the people who are too dumb for Alex Jones. Must watch this guy.
The First Amendment says you should make no law abridging freedom of speech or religion. It doesn't outlaw you from advocating a religious order, which, again, I mean, this is case in point. I won't step on my overall take here, but it is this is really a case to ban social media altogether. For everybody, just shut it all down.
just shut it down. You gotta do like Snake Plissken at the end of Escape from LA. Just push the button, go back to year zero.
That's it. Rotary phones. That's it.
Okay, so Nick Fuentes. I know a lot of people take this guy seriously. You should take him seriously on the level of talent. He's very talented. He's a very good broadcaster. He's a lying, degenerate scumbag. And I'm going to demonstrate that for you right now, where in 30 seconds, he drops about 7 lies in 30 seconds. That might be a record. He should go head to head with Alex on that.
Well, I'm Muslim and I care about the Middle East, and Nick is Christian. He cares about this. Here's the difference. You're in my country. That's the difference. That's what these...
Again, this guy is born in New York City. He is a U.S. citizen, born and raised.
Born. That's what these brown clowns don't seem to understand. You're in our country.
Oh.
Okay? The United States of America was founded by white Christians. You want to be...
Thomas Paine, a radical Enlightenment thinker and author of Common Sense. Paine famously referred to Christianity as a fable and rejected organized religion in his book, The Age of Reason. Thomas Jefferson, while deeply interested in the moral teachings of Jesus, Jefferson rejected miracles and the Trinity. He physically cut and pasted his own version of the New Testament, the Jefferson Bible, to remove all supernatural elements. Benjamin Franklin. Franklin embraced a philosophical deism. While he valued public morality and occasionally attended church, he expressed significant doubts about core Christian doctrines, such as the divinity of Jesus Christ. Ethan Allen. A leader of the Green Mountain Boys, Allen was an outspoken deist who explicitly wrote against Orthodox Christianity, championing reason and natural religion over divine revelation. James Monroe, though officially an Episcopalian, his private religious views leaned closer to non-Christian deism, shaped significantly by his close friendship with Thomas Paine. Even Christian founders like John Adams advocated for the separation of church and state and actively supported the freedom of religion for all citizens. This spirit culminated in the Treaty of Tripoli, which was unanimously ratified by the U.S. Senate in 1797 and famously declared that the government of the United States was not in any sense founded on the Christian religion. Now, that guy, Asmongold, I think, is probably just a congenital moron. Nick is not a congenital moron, very much like Alex Jones. I think he knows that he has an audience of congenital morons who he can just blithely say this to, because that's what they're there for. It's just like MSNBC for chuds, right? You feed them the product they want, and they'll keep coming back. It doesn't matter if it's actually true or not. To continue.
Brown Muslim, show a little respect. Show a little deference. But that's the problem. You don't respect this place.
He is showing respect.
So you need to leave.
There's nothing more American than trolling on camera. That's right. That's as American as apple pie.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was you know what they used to do in the years before the revolution? There was a big King George statue downtown in New York where Bowling Green Park is now. They used to go and keep graffitiing it up and making the British soldiers have to clean it up.
They're the original trolls.
The original trolls, exactly.
We didn't come to the Philippines. Nobody pulled up to Haiti.
We didn't go to the Philippines. Okay.
The problem, you don't respect this place. So you need to leave. We didn't come to the Philippines. Nobody pulled up to Haiti. Nobody pulled up to Egypt or Saudi Arabia and started telling them that they got to care about our problems and you got to care about our homeland and you got to intervene in our conflicts and telling them this is the way it's going to be now. No, it's the other way around. I can't be in a coalition with these people.
The Philippine-American War. So at the end of the Spanish-American War, the United States bought the Philippines from Spain in 1898 for $20 million, bargain. And were there until 1946 when they were driven out by the Filipino people. And it's pretty well known that we've been interfering in Philippine politics pretty consistently ever since. Haiti. In 1915, the ruler of Haiti was killed in a popular uprising. This civil unrest provided the United States with justification for occupation of Haiti by approximately 20,000 troops for 19 years. The results of the occupation from 1915 to 1934 resulted in 86 U.S. soldiers killed, 3,200 Haitians killed, and Haitian economic dependency on the U.S. When the U.S. military occupation was over, the nation's security was turned over to the Haitian National Guard. Over the next 20 years or so, the Haitian National Guard carried out a policy of violent oppression that resulted in the death of hundreds of thousands of Haitians. Beginning in the 1950s, the U.S. started training Haitian military leaders who subsequently developed a reputation for being corrupt and abusive. From 1957 to 1984, Francois Papa Doc Duvalier and his son Baby Doc were in power in Haiti. This dictatorship was largely supported by the U.S. as an alternative to a perceived expansion of communism in the area. During their rule, the Duvaliers killed a reported 30,000 Haitians, and when Baby Doc was ousted in 1986, he fled with much of the nation's wealth. Nah, we wouldn't roll up on Haiti. In 1990, Jean-Bertrand Aristide became the first democratically elected president of Haiti. Shortly after he took office, he was ousted in a military coup. Two leaders of the coup were men who had been formally trained in the United States. And then Egypt. In July 2013, capitalizing on instigated and inflated public opposition, an American-enabled coup overthrew Mohammed Morsi, suspended the Constitution, and dissolved the government, and silenced dissenting voices. American culpability in Egypt's failed democratic experiment was the culmination of decades of foreign policy. For more than half a century, the U.S. government has squandered some $70 billion in mostly military aid to Egypt. No, we don't roll up on Egypt. And here's a map of Saudi Arabia. Guess what those dots are? Military bases, U.S. military bases. The idea that you would, with a straight face, go on a microphone and say America doesn't roll up to the Philippines or Haiti. And what's really funny is he picked countries that have suffered under U.S. imperialism, not as part of a larger group, but in particular. But does he know that? Probably. I think he knows his audience even better. And he knows he's got an audience of fucking retards who are not going to sit down and look into it so he can just say shit. He understands his job, just like Rachel Maddow. She knows the dumb suburban libs and what they want to hear, and she's very good at giving it to them. Nick Fuentes knows his audience of basement-dwelling chuds who have never been further than their parents' driveway that his shtick appeals to, and he knows he doesn't have to do any fact-checking because God knows they're not going to do any. So, saw-face loomer, as Candace has dubbed her. Elon Musk has called for the deportation of Islamic streamer Sneako after Sneako was on video 4th of July weekend calling for an Islamic takeover of the U.S. and every household in America to become Muslim. A couple of months ago, I raised my concerns when Sneako said he had a direct line to Nikita Abier, he's the head of product at X, and that he was an X-streamer. I showed X how Sneako regularly promotes Islamic terrorism and violence, and I am glad their eyes have been opened. I am so grateful Elon Musk speaks out about the threat of Islam, and I am grateful Nikita has started to crack down by demonetizing foreign accounts that are pretending to be American to divide America. We need to see a crackdown on X of the promotion of Islamic terrorism, and two of the biggest offenders are Sneako and Hassan Piker. Additionally, we really need to put pressure on Kik, whose CEO, I ain't even going to try to say that, is Iranian. What type of Iranian CEO who claims to have family that fled Iran tolerates this pro-IRGC poison on their platform? Are you kidding me, Bijan? Why does Kik pay Sneako nearly $200,000 per month to poison the minds of young men? Keaton, apparently the money is in poisoning the minds of young men. Also, how does Amazon feel about this? Kik relies on AWS. Is AWS really okay with Kik promoting Sneako as he encourages Islamic terrorism? Hang on. You have a problem with people promoting foreign terrorism? Sneako is a national security threat. Please advocate for Hassan Piker to be deported to Turkey next, Elon Musk. Listen, man, we've said this before. When this is all over, and it will be all over, I don't ever want to hear these fucking people talking about freedom and open debate
freedom of speech,
and the First Amendment and the Constitution ever again. So finally, Sneako went in a little deeper on some of Elon's contradictions.
Elon Musk back at Tommy Rubinstein's protest in England. He calls in while Tommy Robinson's having his anti-Islam protest. Listen to what he says.
Whether you choose violence or not, violence is coming to you. You either fight back or you die.
You either fight back or you die. This is an African migrant to America telling Britain, fight back or die. Does that make any sense to you? Why is the trillionaire, the richest man in the world, saying you need to fight back? You have to fight back or die. Fight for your life. Elon is literally an African migrant into America. And this is England. Like, so the only unifying ideology here is just hating Islam. There's nothing else that they have in common. If he wasn't white, imagine he was an African migrant who was black into America telling British people fight back or die. Nobody would take it seriously. Fight back or die. Do you guys consider that an incitement of violence? Interesting. Look at his shirt. I was looking at this clip earlier from a couple months ago. He's got the jawline, while saying fight back or die against immigrants by being an immigrant. He's got the one-eye symbolism right here on his shirt. Is that a coincidence?
I like this kid. So yeah, you definitely have a point regarding social media. At the same time, you got to look at what these people are saying. You can't just laugh at it, because look how much power they've gained. Look how much of their agenda they've been able to enact. So when you got soft face over there talking about trying to get Sneako demonetized, this is the battle, one of the battles of our moment. You do have this very well-funded Zionist lobby that owns most of our politicians and that has its fingers in most of our largest corporations, that really wants to tip the conversation over into getting these platforms to demonetize people like Sneako. As hard as I am on Alex Jones, as much as I might slam Alex Jones, I always supported his right to speak. We both did. When they pulled him off YouTube, we said back then it's the beginning, and it was, right? How many people have been pulled off these platforms since Alex Jones? He really was the test case. They want to take it to the next level, where you could take somebody like Sneako, who did not say anything horrific about the parents of school shooting victims, and you can get them pulled off their platforms as a national security threat. That is what they want. And that's why you can't ignore it when they start braying like this. As ridiculous as these people are, is what a lot of people who lived through Nazism said in retrospect. Like, we didn't take them seriously. We thought they were a joke. They were such a clownish bunch of people. We couldn't imagine they would ever get real power. These people already actually have real power. And they're telling you here what they want this country to be. They want to continue very much as the Romans did. The Romans kept evoking the Republic long after they no longer had one, because they knew the brand name sold with Roman people, right? So they kept calling themselves a republic after they became an empire with an emperor. That's what these people want. They want to move to a place where you still say, well, you could argue we're already there, not quite as far as they want to go. They want to go to a place where you could say, well, no, that's not what the First Amendment means. And the people who have power, who are supporting the people who have power, have been so brainwashed, are so historically illiterate, that you can tell them these things and they're gonna support it. It's really amazing being in America. If you go outside America, you come back into America, the American people are just hypnotized. Like, they really are hypnotized. You have a lot of people who feel very strongly about things that they don't even vaguely begin to understand, nor are they even curious enough to find out about them. But they think they have a really strong opinion on the subject.
Yeah, well, you have to ask yourself, where is the broadest coalition possible? And this is why I said, I've said this in the past before, that, you really need to find that broadest coalition possible. And that, to me, takes the form of some sort of liberty movement, a civil libertarian movement, because whatever your views are on X, Y, or Z, the overwhelming majority of people does not want to live like this, where you just take pleasure in harassing each other for saying the wrong thing online. Oh, a kid posts a stupid fucking video about Allah Akbar, clearly just a troll. And, you know, you got these vultures who are just, you know, content starved, who decided, hey, you know what? Let's harass this kid for fun and for views and for money and for content. And let's see just how far up the chain of command we can go and be taken seriously. Like, it's just a horrible way to live. Like, most people don't want to live that way, right? Like, who wants to live in that environment?
This is what I mean when I keep saying this is not normal. It's not like this anyplace else I've ever been. Like, this whole discourse, it's not a thing anywhere else that you go.
It's
maybe
not a thing.
England.
It's not
That's
a
it.
thing in most of America either. And that's my point. Like, most ordinary people are not online like this. And most ordinary people do not crave this kind of conflict over non-existent bullshit, over a non-issue, over a guy posting a troll video to his social media. Like it is not normal to take pleasure in trying to destroy people in that way. Seeing how can I wield what power I have to destroy someone for saying the wrong thing. And these were people, by the way, who you know, raised free speech concerns when Biden was in the White House. And you just see how little they actually meant any of it at all.
Not even a
People
little
always
bit.
support free speech when they're not in power, because when they're not in power, that's the speech that gets cracked down on. But once they get power, of course they want to silence anybody else. And the total illiteracy of saying, well, that's not what the First Amendment said. The First Amendment is very, very clear on what it says and what it doesn't say. And, you know, it is for the most part, a very absolutist proclamation with very few and narrow and specific exceptions, as has not only been written in the Constitution, but has been upheld numerous times at the highest court in the land. It's really not
under both conservative and liberal courts.
It's not really a question of debate. And so, you know, you have to ask yourself, is this how you want to live? And so much of the discourse has been hijacked by people who make a living just stirring shit up online. I mean, this is talk about a non-story. It's a non-story that a kid trolls online. And you have the richest guy in the world saying, yeah, deport him. I mean, it's just, you're right. I mean, it is nonsense, but the undercurrents are more dangerous than you'd think, because when the richest man in the world says something, there's a power behind that, right? There's a power behind it. What do you mean deport him for what? For saying the wrong thing? Let's say he meant what he said. That's still protected by the First Amendment. He obviously didn't mean what he said. Like, it's a non-issue. It's laughable. The thing that's alarming is that people in such high places and of such standing within the society are just willing to stoop so low as to drag the country into this really hellish space where you can't even take a breath without worrying that you're going to be harassed by somebody because you breathed the wrong way and you're an offense to the country. I mean, it's really obnoxious and overbearing, and it just creates such an undesirable living environment. That's why there is a silent majority that is against it, and that is where the broadest coalition lies. And that, to me, is a priority number one. Priority number one for me always is civil liberties, freedom of speech being the most important. Without that, you have nothing else. You have no means by which to advocate for anything else if you are not free to speak your mind. And that's just like on a political level what I believe. On a philosophical level, yeah, I believe people are born to be free and left the fuck alone unless they're hurting somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, that to me is the most important thing, and I think there's a real appetite for that. That's actually a very American sentiment. So there is a majority out there who wants that. It's just a matter of convincing themselves that actually your right to be left the fuck alone, as long as you're minding your own business, is under threat, and you have to actually act like it's under threat and start promoting people and candidates and movements who support your right to say what you want. That's the main reason why I was as supportive of Thomas Massie as I was, is for that reason. Because I don't agree with Thomas Massie on 80% of things. But you know what? Thomas Massie respects my right to disagree with him without harassing me and telling me I should be deported for disagreeing. Like, that is paramount right now.
All right. Remember, Elon was buying X because he believes so much in free speech. Exactly. He's going to protect your free speech. Now he wants to deport a citizen of a country that he's not a native to.
Yeah. Really a joke. Really a joke. All right. What happened here? Is my stuff working here? There we go. All right, folks, just a quick word here from Rumble Wallet. Quick question. How much control do you have over your money right now? Technology has changed everything, and now it's changing how money works. So what started as a niche is now going mainstream, and Rumble Wallet is here to offer faster payments, more control, and fewer middlemen. This is not hype. It's where things are going, and getting started today is easier than you think. With Rumble Wallet, you can buy Bitcoin, hold dollar-backed stablecoins, and even own digital gold backed by real gold, all in one place. It's a non-custodial wallet, which means you, not a bank or a platform, control access to your funds. Setup is super simple. It takes a minute. We have ours linked to our channel right now. That's why you can tip us through your Rumble Wallet right under the screen. Connects with MoonPay, so you can use your debit card, your credit card, or your bank account and be up and running in minutes. And for a limited time, you can start that wallet with $10 in US stablecoin by downloading the Rumble Wallet and entering our exclusive promo, which is DUE10, DUE10, when you sign up now. And when you do, you can use that Rumble Wallet to support your favorite Rumble creators like us directly. Just look for that tip button underneath the screen. So you can get started now by scanning the QR code, clicking the link in the description, or by going to wallet.rumble.com/DD and download the Rumble Wallet. From there, you can set that wallet up, enter promo code DUE10, DUE10, and get your $10 in US stablecoin. This is a limited time offer, so act now, take control of your money, and get started with the Rumble Wallet today. Okay, let's move right on along here. What do we got in the like column? We must be over 666 by now, surely. Yeah, 8:30. Okay, all right, let's move right on along. We got some chats and rants before we close the lights on the stream here today. Oh, let me put up our scroll, because I forgot to put up the scroll before the last segment because I was texting Jake, Jake must be working his real job now because he didn't get back to me, but that's all right, Jake. No worries. We'll get it fixed by Thursday, I'm sure. In the meantime, I copied this over manually. But there's the member scroll if you'd like to sign up and support the show. You know the perks. Film Club with Right Brain TV, post games and bonus Q&As once a month, regular call-in Q&As every week, and ad-free replays of every live stream emailed to you the day after they air live, plus your name up in lights and the good karma of supporting independent media. So thank you very much for your support. All right, let's see here. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Let's see, where's our stuff here? Mobile Vulgus says, DD supported Platner when he was just killing brown people, but sexual assault against a white woman is too much.
Yeah, wow, you really got our number.
Yeah, that's wow. A very original thing. I've seen that line on X a bunch of times, so I guess you paid $5 to give us that ultra original take.
Yeah,
it's funny how
that's not at all bad faith.
Yeah,
interpretation of our show, what we've said.
It's very widespread now that you're seeing. It's odd that the same obviously bad faith attacks that used to get leveraged at people, like us from like the libs, now get leveraged by the very people who were smeared by the libs. Like, by that definition, anybody who debunked Russiagate was a supporter of Donald Trump. That's literally the point that you made there, right?
Yeah.
We saw an obvious coordinated smear campaign against him. We called it out for what it was. And now all of a sudden, we love Graham Platner. Have we once promoted a Graham Platner rally? Have we once directed people to the Graham Platner website? Have we once told people, make sure you're registered to vote for Graham Platner in Maine? No. We responded to obvious propaganda, which is what we did when Russiagate was happening. What happened?
We
the libs
covered
said
the news.
You love Donald Trump. Right. We covered the news. Exactly. We covered the news. So it's kind of amazing to see, the people who were on the receiving end of all of these bad faith arguments are now, a faction of them at least, making those same bad faith arguments about people who were on the receiving end of them for many, many years. But if you're going to do that, at least be original. Don't just copy it from everybody's Twitter posts and pay $5 for us to read it. Come up with your own.
Yeah, do better.
Do better.
See,
Yeah,
see how annoying that is?
Yeah, do better. Exactly. All right. John Olmstead says, y'all were offended I said BJG and Blakely for president, not you guys. But the very next stream, Keaton complained about having to go on his front porch. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I wouldn't run. That is true. You got me there. I choose not to run. Let's see here. Marianne Cummings says 3 questions. Oh, wow. Getting your money's worth there. What did she tell people at the time? Is she affiliated with the accused political opponent? And is her story consistent? Non-pass all 3. She claims she supports his politics. She does seem to have told people at the time. And is her story consistent? Well, she told the New York Times part of the story and not the whole story. I'm not going to tell you it's not a little fishy, and the timing is extremely fishy. All I'm saying is, and this is why our take was what it was, and I understand this take frustrates people on both sides of this, as we often find ourselves doing that, is that, look, I totally respect people like Janine Eunice and Mel who are like, you know what? We're not playing this game. He's anti-APAC. Susan Collins is pro-APAC. We're not getting involved in this now. Fuck it. Full speed ahead. I respect that. The only problem is he did not execute that strategy. That's the problem. Right. He did not execute that.
Frankly, that is my view. I didn't care about accusations against him before that, about his military service. I didn't care about that. So, like, if you're going to argue, why would you not care about that and care about this? You're barking up the wrong tree. I agree with you. Like, I don't care. I really don't. But
he botched it.
Strategically, it is what it is.
Yeah. And he botched it. He botched the response. That's the thing. Like, if he came out forcefully and denied it, you'd be totally, I think, it would be, a totally defensible position to be like, fuck it, we're plowing ahead with this, but he fucked it up. I mean, he botched
fucked it up. Once you say we got to take time to reflect,
that's it. Done. Andy Gardner, thanks for the $5. People praying for the world to help when those that would help are under the boot of the same evil global power structures. That's Tim Pool's boot. Yes, exactly. P. Walker, Pentagon doesn't exist to fight, much less win. It's a time machine which transfers future wealth to richest zip codes today via deficit spending. That's right. Darius King, excuse me, says Trump is a Lear Starmer was booted. A liar. Starmer. Well, I thought that was a Keir Starmer typo, but it's a liar. Yeah. Trump is a liar. Starmer was booted because of Epstein. Not around. Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. Yeah, no, that's why Labor lost, because they didn't support the Iran war enough. Yeah, yeah, that's why they lost. A good dog never bites the NATO hand that feeds him. Thank you. Ron Contra member says, props to the DD chat room. You guys make me laugh as much as Keaton and Russ. Revolution's got to have style. Everyone keep it up and keep smiling. Thank you.
That's why every now and then I got to, rip apart Nick Fuentes for 10 minutes to keep the IQ of the chat up.
Yeah. Noah Goop, getting beat by Iran was tough. Getting beat by Greenland is a career ender. Ha, good one. Race car. Hey guys, one last message about Russ's new webcam. I think DD streams in only 720p, so we get a clearer Russ, but a Russ at the same resolution. Still an improvement though. No, you're right. And you know what? 720 is the inferior HD.
Right.
But it's funny. I read that as it came in, and so I checked, and for some reason my webcam got reset to 720. That could be the issue. I have to set my webcam to 1080. I'll do it after this stream. I think if I change it now, it'll just disconnect entirely. But yeah, good call on that, because I was wondering, I noticed like the last couple streams that I downloaded, I was like, why is it downloading in only 720? That's why. I think my webcam setting is off. So that'll be fixed on the next show. Thanks to you, Race Car. So good call. Good catch on that. Truth Seeker, as someone who read both the Bible and the Quran cover to cover dozens of times, I've found Islamophobes as the most ignorant people about both books. Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense to me. Nocturnal Human, Asmon, who cares about the 14th Amendment or soap? That's woke. Good one. Good one. Turd burglar. Sorry, guys. I thought I was done with this account, but I pushed hard and squeezed out one last pun. P.S. I apologize for the messages. This account disgusts me, but also, man, it's easy to come up. It's so easy to come up with puns. That's all right, my friend. EO Shush. So speaking of grifters, I noticed after DD's Medicare ad spot, I started hearing not all boomers. That was the chat's comments about boomers. Are you saying boomers don't have the right to exist? Yeah. Walshy, so tired of Orange Caligula and his depraved empire known as the United States. I don't blame you, my friend. Vienticus, I'm really not interested in living under Jewria law, just saying. Heavy Snack says, how large is Fuentes' true following when he says our country? As a deaf and octogenarian as the audience may be, Sean Hannity gets 100 and 500 times the nightly views. Yeah,
does he? I mean, Fuentes does all right, doesn't he?
He's pretty popular. Yeah, he's got a following out
we
there.
We had like a little wave of unsubscribes right after that.
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't know. Something pissed off a certain segment.
Yeah, we've been getting
week.
some unsubs lately. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'm like, was it the fireworks thing? Because it seemed to accompany that show. Like, it's kind of weird.
Who knows? I mean, I didn't think we were being all that controversial lately. I think the show's been pretty steady.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Noah Goop says you guys should get Sneako as a guest on Jimmy. It's funny, I had obviously
he wasn't on my radar, but I mean, I still could. I still have. I'm going for 2 guests a night, so I do still have. Yeah. I do still have space for him.
Yeah, you can definitely fit him in. I had heard of him before this segment, but I couldn't tell you 3 things about him before this segment. In fact, I still probably couldn't tell you 3 things about him after the segment, except that he trolled and got harassed over it. Bronx Comrade, DD, honest and smart. Audience is mostly smart. $5 a month is a bargain. Thank you.
Thank you,
my friend. $5 a month is a bargain. That's right. Andy Gardner says Asmongold versus Finkelstein. Excuse me, Mr. Asmongoldie. That would be funny. Him debating Finkelstein. Good one. Vienticus Prime. I've always supported DD, but there was this one time Russ gave me this look like he was undressing me with his eyes. So look at him. He's got that crazy perversion under that calm. Thank you, Vienticus. Appreciate that. All right. Let's see what we got over here. That is our show for today. Came in at a clean and professional 3 hours. Look at that. Look at us killing it. Well, Russ is back tomorrow on the Jimmy Dore Show. You got Nick Cruz and Professor Anthony Zenkis, right?
Yep. This is my guest tomorrow. Gonna be a good one.
Nice. And then we are back here at noon on Thursday as the Due Dissidents Marathon Week chugs along full speed ahead. Thanks to everybody for being here today. Thanks to the YouTubers and the Rumblers and the mods for keeping the peace in the chat. Russ, we'll see you tomorrow on the Jimmy Dore Show. We'll see you back here Thursday, 12 p.m. Eastern. Until whenever we see you again, thanks for spending the afternoon with us. Be safe and be well.
Courage!
Please clap.